But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please! Please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1.
Self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Monday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may wonder? Well, there's way too many, so I'll sum up. The things we're not allowed to talk about are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. As always, this show's live to include you. Like I always say, I have no inside sources. I don't have any extra mutant powers or anything to that effect, like the X-Men or any spider sense or any Galactic Federation ambassadors, as Ryan Gable says, and I think that's hilarious. I don't have any inside sources. I just don't. It's kind of a refreshing way to look at the world, in that you guys know we talk about UFOs a lot. We talk about ufology. We talk about all that good stuff, right? And a lot of sometimes politics in the periphery, which I'll get to a smidge tonight, not to trigger anybody, but to just give some examples of the manipulation that's going on, because there's a lot of manipulation. But back to ufology for a sec. The thing that's frustrating about that and about political discourse and all the stuff that we're supposed to expect is, real anymore, is that, let's say it all comes from, or let's say much of it, all is a bit thick, but let's say all of it. I'm sorry. Some of it, a lot of it, most of it is, see what I did there. My brain just flipped on itself. No, most of it comes from anonymous sources, and I don't like that. It annoys me because it's manipulation in its purest form. Because it's like, okay, well, we've got from these official sources, wink, wink. We can't say who they are because, of course, on a condition of anonymity, we can't tell you who these people are. But here is what they're saying, and not only is what they're saying one of those things that's sort of manipulating you into believing whatever propaganda it may or may not be. Because if we don't know the source, how the heck do we know? How about this? If you got an anonymous source and somebody said a particular statement about whatever, right? And they said, okay, well, one source, it was either one of two anonymous sources, right? It was either somebody's worked in the intelligence community for most of their life, all right, and said something to that effect, kind of a nondescript person, all right? And then in the other breath, they said the other one may have been Donald Trump, all right? And I don't mean to trigger Trump lovers or Trump haters or anybody in between. I don't really care. It's clearly one guy is obviously boisterous, and the other one is probably, if you don't even know his name or wouldn't know his or her name even, well, then, right, there's the level of discourse coming from that particular anonymous source changes quite a lot just based on who the source is. Okay, that was my only point. Please don't get into a mudslinging contest in the chat about Donald Trump. I really don't care. But the point is, right, the source really means something. And so when you really deal with the world in terms of anonymous sources and just say things like, well, we've got it from a source, right? On the condition of anonymity, this. Well, okay. So how do we know if this is even remotely true? Because what if it's coming from like somebody from the CIA, right? Okay. I don't know, right? And that's why we live in what's known as a post-truth world. And that's my long-winded way of saying that I just don't have any inside sources. And I'm glad for that. I'm glad that I don't know anybody on the inside of anything other than myself and you guys. The Troubled Minds Nation out there listening to news cycles, watching them closely, and trying to spot the lies, trying to spot the emotional manipulations that are happening on a daily basis. And again, another long-winded way of me saying, well, I have no inside sources, but I do have you. We have each other. And so the secret weapon of troubled minds is you. And as a result, we've got an open phone line. Looking to hear your thoughts on all these things tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. You've got all kinds of stuff going on there, including the phone number, the Discord link, which, again, Discord's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's a way people communicate with each other. They're not too deep into the censorship game or anything. And there we go. It's a little bit odd, a little bit strange, but that's what it is. So communication can only be communication as long as minimal censorship is involved. But then, like I was saying earlier today in the news show, it turns out there's a whole lot of, let's say, it's complicated. It's complicated when you have to actually moderate speech online, because we can't have nice things because people do things like death threats, and they give out people's addresses and social security numbers and leak tax returns. And this is why you have to police it, because it's turned into just really the lowest form of communication, because people hide behind that anonymity and just spew hate out there. It's disgusting. But there you go. Okay. So the thing is this, right? As we get going tonight, like I said, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and of course we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And that's what's on my mind tonight. As we get going, I'll get going with these other manipulations. But please, a couple things. Join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Also join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching all the chat in all the places, trying to incorporate your ideas as we go through this tonight. It's very good to get real-time feedback on some of the things that we're talking about. So love that chat. Keep it coming, guys. I appreciate that very much. And please also download the Fringe app. You can find that at your favorite app store. Of course, that's going to be iTunes or Android, wherever you get your apps, whatever kind of phone you use. And it's completely free. Just download the Fringe app. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. You just smash the play button at precisely 7 o'clock Monday through Thursday. You'll get me. You'll get you. You'll get us. And all right, so let's do it. Let's get to the manipulating, shall we? Let's just get to the manipulating, because, well, while we're at it, we may as well be doing it. So let's do it. Let's go to this. This is where this begins tonight, all right? This idea right here. This is from protocol.com, and this is what got my goat. I saw this yesterday and was like, okay, this is Troubled Minds tomorrow, because this really, really pisses me off. All right? Now we're going to get to manipulating emotions. All right. Now, before we start this, before we do this real quick, I got a question for you. One of the questions tonight is this: in what capacity, ever, anywhere, has emotional manipulation been a good thing? Can anybody explain to me how emotional manipulation has ever been a good thing? Please explain. I want just one example. If anybody can think of one example how manipulating emotions is a good thing, all right? That's the first, my musing. I was like, okay, well, if this is happening, well, then we need to at least find one example of how this is good. Because if we can't even find one example of how manipulating people's emotions is a good thing, then why are we allowing this to happen? And I'll get to what this is in just a sec, okay? We'll get right back to that article. But that's the first thought tonight. Give me one example of manipulating emotions that's good, all right? Well, I'd like to know that. Just food for thought as we begin. And then let's get to the article. How about this? Companies are using AI to monitor your mood during sales calls. And Zoom might be next. Yeah, right? Software makers claim that AI can help sellers not only communicate better, but detect the emotional state of a deal and the people they're selling to. Huh. Well, that's super weird. All right, let's read some of this. Virtual sales meetings have made it tougher than ever for salespeople to read the room. So, some well-funded tech providers are stepping in with a bold sales pitch of their own. That AI can not only help sellers communicate better, but detect the emotional state of a deal and the people they're selling to. In fact, while AI researchers have attempted to instill human emotion into otherwise cold and calculating robotic machines for decades, sales and customer service software companies, including Unifor and Sybil, are building products that use AI in an attempt to help humans understand and respond to human emotion. Virtual meeting powerhouse Zoom also plans to provide similar features in the future. Quote, "It's very hard to build rapport in a relationship in that type of environment," said Tim Harris, director of product marketing at Unifor, regarding virtual meetings. The company sells software that attempts to detect whether a potential customer is interested in what a salesperson has to say during a video call, alerting the salesperson in real time during the meeting if someone seems more or less engaged in a particular topic. What? Yeah, right there in the article. The system, called Q for Sales, might indicate that a potential customer's sentiment or engagement level perked up when a salesperson mentioned a particular product feature, but then drooped when the price was mentioned. Sybil, a competitor, also uses AI in an attempt to analyze people's moods during a call. Yeah, all right. So again, right, digital everything is better, isn't it? Isn't it? Except when you have an actual digital watchdog in real time reading your emotions through facial expression and the tone of your voice. All right, that seems fine. This is fine. This should be fine, right? This should be good, because how on earth could they use this to manipulate you? Very much so. Like, instead of reading the room, right? Reading the room of a sales deal or whatever the hell's going on, you get this little light beep as you're giving your sales presentation. The light comes on to let you know, maybe up on your monitor, that your client or potential customer or whatever can't see. This light goes beep, 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 and that means you're losing their interest. And what does that mean? Well, it means you need to change your tactic and change it now. You see what's going on here? Now, not only that, right? So they're doing this in terms of sales, all right? They're doing this in terms of all the rest of these things to, well, facilitate business, all right? It's just business, guys. It's just business. So the thing is, though, if you do this and you allow this to happen everywhere, all the time, through some sort of digital medium, you put your face on camera and boom, you're being, well, not just judged in real time on the reading the room, but also on your level to be manipulated by an algorithm. All right. Now, of course, we've all sat through a sales pitch, right? I'm one of those cranky guys that puts the do not no soliciting on my door because I sleep at odd hours and I hate somebody ringing the doorbell at 10 o'clock and I just fell asleep, right? So it's for practicality purposes. I'm not really that much of a Grinch. I've heard sales pitches my whole life. I've sold things my whole life. All right. I get it. However, all right, there's sometimes you just don't want to deal with it. You just don't want to deal with it. But what if somehow, some way they were able to maybe manipulate, I don't know, the status of your home based on, just for instance, maybe the level of a yard work, or let's say maybe the level of, I don't know, pride you have, an American flag hanging out front of patriotic pride, or whatever, right? Imagine they start doing this for door-to-door sales and really reading through AI, through some sort of AI component, reading the temperature of the deal before they even knock on the door, right? To maybe have different angles. You like scan the house real quick. It does a little algorithmic investigation and then sends you talking points back as the salesperson for when you knock on that door. You sort of have maybe a step ahead, right? I don't know. I think there's a little bit of weirdness to this. That's just an example of how this can go to the next level in the non-digital world, okay? So I don't know. As this really gets going, it really infuriates me, because you cannot tell me, like I said, I'm still looking for an example. If you guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this so far. 702-957-1037. I'm looking for, first, an example or two or three or whatever of a time when manipulating people's emotions is a good thing. You can base it on a good thing, all right? And I see MJ's in the chat saying, talking someone jumping off a building and things like this. Good examples. Breaking up a bar fight, slowing things down so people don't kill each other. Got it, all right? Okay, so what about in non-dangerous situations? How about that? I think you can probably, those are good examples, and thank you for that. But when is just in a normal sales setting manipulating people a good idea? Oh boy. All right. There you go. What's up? I just hang up, says Adonna. Yeah, right. Have you ever done that when they call and you're like, yeah, hello. And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And they're talking and talking and talking. And you're like, no, thank you. No, please, good luck. Have a great day. No, thank you. And they just keep talking. They don't even allow you a space to and so you have to hang up, right? They're just like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, I don't. I really don't want a solar roof. No, thank you. No, excuse me. No, thank you. And then you just hang up. You get frustrated and hang up because they're just blah, 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 blah. And right? I don't know, right? So there's that. Obviously and clearly, that's different. That's cold phone sales. But we're talking about a meeting on Zoom, let's say a sales meeting, and in real time, the software's reading your face to manipulate your emotions to get the deal, right? To get the deal. That's pretty wild here, all right? So let's read a little bit more of this. This gets pretty crazy, right? So Unifor software incorporates computer vision, speech recognition, natural language processing, and emotion AI to pick up on the behavioral cues associated with someone's tone of voice, eye and facial movements, or other nonverbal body language, and analyzes that data to assess their emotional attitude. Your emotional attitude, right? There you go. You're being, again, judged by a computer in real time. Even, let's say, but okay. And so, for instance, let's play devil's advocate for just a second regarding AI. What if I didn't get a lot of sleep? Because when there's a full moon, when there's a new moon, I don't sleep well. I just don't. Right? But how's the computer supposed to know this about me, right? Maybe other people have a similar issue or whatever, right? For most other times I sleep okay, right? Not great, but okay, all right? I'm not trying to make this all about me. I'm using it as an example. Now, how does the computer not know that I'm just a little tired today because I didn't get enough sleep, and so my facial expression is naturally, disinterested? You see what I'm saying? So basically, if you take AI and you try and determine people's emotional attitude, I love that, then there's a whole lot of factors you just don't really have to kind of put into the algorithm, right? It can kind of just determine based on a limited data set, because we're talking about a sales call, unless of course, right, they're keeping huge databases of your, Mike's in a grumpy mood on Mondays, but not so much on Tuesdays, right? So then they call you on Tuesday instead. So you see, right, this starts to become a larger and larger scale operation, okay? And you think that the Big Brother and the rest of that stuff is terrifying? Well, I've always said that it's not just the government. It's not just the big surveillance state as it is, and I always talk about UBI or the Fedcoin, the digi dollar being the final piece in the surveillance puzzle. Well, that's for the government, all right. But what about when every private corporation is built into these databases and they share this data? Huge data sets, right? Well, that's what we're looking at this starting to become. They'll be like, okay, so we know don't call Mike on Mondays. He's usually pretty cranky. If you do, call him after noon. If you call him Tuesday, probably around 10 a.m. is the best time. That's when he's the most receptive to sales meetings. And the only reason we know this is because we're tapping into the database of Mike in his Zoom calls, the whole history of his Zoom calls. You see what's going on here. Now tell me that's not actual emotional manipulation, right? They're trying to get to basically the core of what a human being is, and then figuring it out kind of in a backwards capacity, in that, well, this time of day Mike is on point, this time of day Mike is disinterested, so we're going to call Mike at this time to try and sell him the thing. You see what I'm saying here? So as this goes, right, there's a little bit more here. So this is pretty crazy. Okay, so it does picks up behavioral cues, again, tone of voice, eye and facial movements, other nonverbal body language, and then analyzes the data to assess their emotional attitude, all right? And then there's an actual digital emotion scorecard. There you go, your digital emotion scorecard. This will go down on your permanent record, right? So here we go. Sitting alongside someone's image on camera during a virtual meeting, the Q for Sales application visualizes emotion through fluctuating gauges indicating detected levels of sentiment and engagement based on the system's combined interpretation of their satisfaction, happiness, engagement, surprise, anger, disgust, fear, or sadness. The software requires video calls to be recorded and is only able to assess someone's sentiment when that individual customer or room full of potential customers and the salesperson have approved recording. Oh, I see. Okay, so I'm just telling you, right? This to me seems not like a good thing. This seems not good at all. And of course, for many reasons. Again, removing, we're talking more and more about, the metaverse, and we're talking about, the online and, maybe just removing person-to-person contact, which COVID has done a ton of, right? Wink, wink. Now we, instead of meeting people for lunch and having a sales meeting, or maybe on the golf course, you do it through Zoom because of the plague, right? So the plague forced us inside, and it forced us to adopt Zoom, and literally made Zoom probably the largest video conferencing software in the world. COVID, right? Zoom and COVID were like, I don't know, flim and flam, I guess you would say, right? And so, well, here we are. So instead of just picking up the phone and calling or having a meeting or whatever it is, we're doing Zoom, and we can actually gauge our interest and engagement levels based on exactly what's happening with this. Now, that's the worst. That's one of the worst parts about this. But I don't know. You tell me. So, is there ever a point you can consider, again, violence aside, that emotional manipulation is a good thing? That's the first question tonight. The second question is, do you think, given all the data that, let's say, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and all the rest of these guys, I don't know, FaceApp and all the rest of this, all the data that they have on us, once they start sharing this sort of information behind the scenes with these huge corporations and renting out data sets to, well, I don't know, Zoom or other people, well, do you think we stand a chance, right? Have you ever bought something you didn't want to buy? Mm-hmm. Have you ever been talked into it and you didn't want to be talked into it? Mm-hmm. Yep. So, well, now we have computers gauging every minute moment of interest, engagement, surprise, shock, anger, displeasure to try and hook you on the sale. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Emotional manipulation. An example where this is a good thing, number one. Number two, do you think allowing computers to digitally manipulate our emotions could ever be a good thing. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More AI, Zoom meetings, digital manipulation, and you as the emoticon when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of algorithmic manipulation of your emotions. Not just a clandestine style like they used to do. It is now a sales feature. Coming soon to Zoom. You got it. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the phone. It's as easy as that. And so the question is, whenever, ever has manipulating people by emotions been a good thing? And two, do you think delegating this task, which is a pretty nefarious task, to AI is any amount better? Let's go to Joe in Florida. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Not too bad. Surprising. Good show. Good topic, actually. Because when I flipped it on, I'm like, well, how could this apply? And then I'm thinking, in a way, I've done some of this much slower than a computer. So let me just start with the FTC rule. Nobody here probably knows what the FTC rule is, but the funeral industry is the only industry that it was, I want to say it was like 1984, go figure, 1984. But that's when the rule, I just looked it up, but that's when the law from the Federal Trade Commission was applied for pricing and what they call a la carte pricing, because the funeral industry was well known for quite a while to take advantage of people at the worst time of their lives, okay? And despite that rule, it still goes on today. But the rule where it really holds teeth is if you come in the door, the minute we talk about price, if you come in the door of my funeral home, the minute we talk about price, I got to give you a price list. And that price has to be consistent. And it shouldn't matter who, what race, what religion, whoever comes through that door to get the same price. Now, that's a rule. If you bought something, if you bought a funeral prearranged ahead of time, you still have 3 days to cancel. I'm not sure how many other industries have 3 days to cancel and get their money back. So let's just say you were buying something. I mean, I get ads on Facebook all the time, and I click on some of them because I might like a fancy watch or a pair of shoes that, may not be too expensive. But you do have people that might have mental illness, might be bipolar, might go on at night and just start buying things. And if that AI is so tuned to no emotion, it's going to take advantage of that. This is a case of technology, again, going faster than the laws that might be applied for sales. I'll give you an advantage of emotional reading that we do. And for sales, the little tips that people give you. Somebody will call me on the phone and ask for a cremation price. And if I tell them pretty much the way I say it, and I can get in trouble for this because they want the maximum amount they could get, which could be disgusting. So I have to play this game so I can sleep at night. But I tell people on our price list, our cremation price is $2,000. Okay. However, and I should wait. So if you do that, let's say I'm an AI, but when I give people the price, you pause. And sometimes the people on the other end of the line are going to tell you that's too much, Or if they take a pause, they might just go ahead and do it. Sometimes they do it because they feel guilty. Sometimes they do it because they don't want to deal with it, moving their loved one around. Okay? Sometimes they do it because it's the middle of the night. But all of them are probably emotionally spent from what they've been through. Okay? So that's like how my industry works. The way I learned to do my job was to be honest, because at least in my business, and I think in any business, if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to buy a funeral, I think the person that comes in there should be excited. Not that you want to be excited about a funeral, but it should sell itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
the manipulation to me, you know, the manipulation is superficial. It's the manipulation of AI. Looking at that is probably 10 times better than looking at a commercial for a Toyota. You know, for Toyota fun, when they try to build excitement in these commercials. So, I think it's totally disgusting. But at the same time, I can say that my business, most of the time, I'm able to sleep at night. But sometimes, I'll give you an example that happened to me today. And it's not so much AI, but the call is recorded, and a human being, might as well be AI, a human being listens to that recording. And somebody called today, and they told me that their loved one, who was an ex, was indigent. They go, they're indigent. And I told the family, look, my cremation price is a little bit more than $2,000, but I can help you for $1,300. That's the best I can do. There's reasons for that with my place without getting into the details. However, if they're indigent, that means nobody can really sign. So let me help you. What I had to do was I had to hang up the phone, my recorded line, and I had to call the family back on the cell phone, my cell phone. And I had to explain to the family that all these calls are recorded for training and quality purposes. So now basically if you're going to go on Twitter or whatever it is you're going to go on, they're going to have to tell you that all your conversations can be recorded or manipulated, if I hear the article correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all just going to be data sets, pretty much, at this point in time. And then is the data going to patrol itself? So, like, where I have a human being that listens to my phone calls and literally scores me on their basis if I made an emotional connection with the family. I literally have been told you didn't make an emotional connection, but yet the family still came into the contract. Because the family didn't want an emotional connection. They didn't want any BS and they wanted the truth. And that's another thing. I think a lot of us, okay, with the age of the internet, with all the evils, I think if we are going to purchase something, we should be educated in that. And I think a lot of us here listening probably do educate ourselves before we make a purchase. Shame on us if we should be manipulated. Okay. With being educated about something, that's how I try to sell it. This is why you need it. This is why it needs to work. You don't have to tell me now, no pressure. But I get graded. And if the algorithm is going to keep evolving, is it going to grade itself, I guess?
Yeah,
does that touch on any of this?
Yeah, no, exactly. And those of you that don't know, so Joe actually is a funeral director, and that's his line of work. You probably picked up on that, but if you don't know, it probably makes it all snap into focus here. And again, interesting, you said 1984 was the date that the FTC put this in that said you couldn't manipulate people on an emotional basis in a time of strife like this when somebody had passed away, and right? But I mean, and the a la carte pricing, like you said, if somebody gets a price, the other person gets a price. You know what they haven't done that with, by the way? Healthcare. They haven't done that with healthcare.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't done it with health. Like it's exactly. Like, oh, how much can you pay? Well, okay. Well, that's the price. That's the price. No, it's higher than that, but we're going to go with how much you can pay or how much your insurance. I mean, it's unbelievably stupid, all of this. But okay, so take this to the next level. You get a phone call, and they're like, this AI in real time is sort of gauging these stress levels and parameters of the voice conversation that you're having with the individual. As you're speaking to them, like you said, if they pause, you sort of know it's sort of like the human interaction. Sort of those nonverbal cues or verbal cues you get that make you go, okay, look, I can help you. This is the best I can do, type of thing. But what if the light starts popping on the phone? It like goes green if like they're receptive. It goes red if they're not, based on what like it's starting to tell you through sort of this voice strain analysis what you should say next, and even maybe possibly print out in real time a script of what you should say to let's say maximize profits. What about that? Because that's where this is headed, man.
So here's the thing. I could call it after midnight if you got a few more minutes. I have that now. It's called a pre-need salesperson. The business is working for a company, a corporation. You could do a whole show on. I could do an expose on. It's already been done before, but I could do it again. And I'm looking to maybe get out to a family-run place where the price is the price. But here's the thing. I'll give you an example. Today, it's usually once a week. I had a baby call. This is God honest truth happened today. We had a baby call, 19 weeks. Okay. We usually don't charge for that. Sometimes I'll charge like $100 because I got to file paperwork, but I don't make the $100. The company takes it, right? But $100 is fair. That's what I deem fair because some death certificates take a little more filing than others. But anyway, so it was a baby call. It was over Easter weekend, whatever you believe. I don't want to offend anybody. So the holiday, whatever. So I come in today, and I have to have the counselor with me because they've got to give me a piece of data. They have a data set, and they hold the data set hostage so I can make my contract. So when I told the counselor, look, we're not charging for this, she was like, why am I even going to bother? Because there's no lead in it for her. But sometimes I'll be on the phone and the families will tell me things, and she'll be in the background going, no, let it go, let them go. Where on the funeral director spot, I'm supposed to be helping people. So if I'm determining, hey, is there a next of kin? Is this easy? If the family tells me, sometimes I'll tell the family, and it's callous, but I'll give them a price. I don't want to play a price game because that's undignified. But if I tell the family, look, would $9.95 work for you? Sometimes they just say, yeah, go ahead and do it. I might leave money on the table, I might not, but they might tell 10 other people that I've helped them. But I literally have somebody in the background telling me to let it go. And the reason why they're telling me to let it go is because if I sell to the family that's passed away at $1,000, the counselor, my preemie person, if they have a chance to follow up, they know they're not going to follow up with any contract of any value where they can make a commission. Okay? I could imagine that an AI might get rid of commission salespeople, at least in my business, because we're pretty much on DocuSign now. But yes, I have that now, and it's called a salesperson. And all that computer is going to do is be a souped up, super thinking salesperson. And you're basically taking the lie detector test and putting it on the phone to literally track the nuances of whoever you talk to, which is pretty scary.
That's pretty scary.
Especially in my business.
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing. There's little tricks that happen today. I was doing, oh God, it's funny you have the show because all of this happened today. But there's old tricks where if you tell a family, how do you plan? Like before you even talk about price, you tell a family, how do you plan to pay? And they might say an insurance policy. And you tell them, okay, how much is that policy for? And they might tell you it's $10,000. Guess what? Now I know how much I can get you for.
Right.
Okay. Which
right.
I've seen happen.
Or
I've seen it happen.
Or like in real time, the computer does like a real life credit check, maybe an estimate of people's net worth, right, and starts to actually price accordingly, like they do with healthcare already. Right? It's like again, don't get me started on taxes and healthcare. Happy Tax Day, by the way. Happy Tax Day. But okay, yeah.
I mean, but you're right, because here's what we do. This is the primitive version. Sometimes my old boss, he would look up their name on the tax record, see how big their house was. Okay? But not always, you can't always judge a book by its cover, but you can tell how big the house was. I'll look people up on Facebook just to see their background pictures. I will do that. But it's not to bilk anybody. Most of the time it's so I don't have to have a pricing game. When they come in, I'm going to be like, today I feel like $1,400. I don't care. The one thing about my company is from the funeral standpoint, because we do sales and we do funerals, but my immediate boss is in my line of defense, the funeral portion. I've never really gotten in trouble for giving drinks, which has kept me there. But now the sales portion, they want to come on our side, and it's a constant battle. So, that's my business. It's a unique view for my business, okay? But what could go wrong? A million things. A million things. And the AI is going to listen. And it's going to, like you said, it's going to analyze. Again, guy today was an accountant. He was an accountant. He seemed like he had money. We had a family member on a phone on a conference call. She told the family right in front of us, if you need help, paying for it, let me know. All these things. So all that data was left in the air. So I don't have to leave money on the table, right? So how do you approach that honestly? Sometimes you could just show them, and that's another thing with everything. Sometimes you could just show them one price and not even mention a la carte. So I have a price list. Imagine when you do go to the hospital and doctor, you don't have a freaking clue what you're going to pay, right?
No.
At least in my place, nope. I go, here's the package. It's like going to McDonald's. I go, here's the package. Here's the thing. If you're going to do something, these things might be important to you. That's what I tell people. You might want to earn. I says, and they word things with allowance. I go, it's not an allowance. You pay for it. I tell people, you're paying for this. However, this is middle of the road, if not a little bit upper than a basic a la carte. Well, how much is the a la carte? And I'm like, it's $2,400. I could give you a little break on that, but if you want to get in there and all that, that's still going to be extra. So I try to educate people so they can just find the value in it, and I never pressure them. So I'm like, look, if it takes you a couple of days to pay, that's fine. I'm not going to hold up your cremation or anything, but that's me. Most of the time, you walk into a car sales, a sales lot, you walk into a doctor's office, you're going to get hosed, and you're going to get hosed.
Exactly. Wait, so you're saying that there are some ball-busting funeral directors out there that will be like, well, then we're just going to have to hold up the cremation, and then try and extort you for more money? That happens out there?
We had, not my location in particular, but I don't care if it's on the internet, I'm not going to mention locations, but we had a body come back in the casket because the family couldn't pay for the ground. Okay? And that was a hill of beans because that the salesperson that was in there, because here's the thing that nobody knows. The funeral director could sell you a funeral, and the funeral director could sell you a cremation. The funeral director typically does not sell you cemetery property. You understand? That goes to a salesperson that's usually unlicensed. Okay? And like any other piece of real estate, they will take you for a ride if they can. And I watched it happen 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I watched the body come back in a casket from another location, and I was pretty disgusted, and I said to myself, the funeral director didn't stand up for the family. The sales guy probably milked them. And because I've gotten into fights with salespeople because they tried the same thing with me. I had a kid that died. They wanted to put them in the cemetery, but I had a Catholic cemetery that donated the space. And when my portion of the arrangement was finished and the sales guy said, let me take you down to our cemetery, and the family said, no, we already have a space. It was donated to us. The sales guy basically said, oh, well, I want to talk to the priest and see how much money you raised. I literally had to tell the family in Spanish, you know, que se espera que yo te llame, which you wait till I call you. And they got the picture because the guy that was sitting next to me was a jerk. So imagine AI doing all that secret stuff, all that manipulation. I just think I've been on too long, so thank you. But yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And the only thing I use is Facebook, thank God. But very, very just ridiculous. Good show.
Thank you. I appreciate the insight. I appreciate the call. Like I said, without hearing your perspective, your perspective teaches me. It teaches us. And like I said, you do something not a lot of people think about, but you see it every single day. So invaluable perspective, not just as a human being, but as a professional. I appreciate you a lot, my friend. Thank you for chiming in tonight. Always a pleasure.
It's all right, guys. Have a good week. Good night. Wish me luck because I am maybe going to hopefully manage a cremation place where the price is the price. It's a fair price, and we own our own crematory, which means a lot. So if anybody out there ever has questions, I don't know, maybe like send me a message on whatever it is that we use in Discord or something. I don't know. So all right, have a good night, people.
Appreciate it, bro. You too. Great call. Joe in Florida. And this is what I'm saying. I like to call his profession there, the funeral business, the invisible process, right? Like you never think about it as a function or an economy or whatever it is until somebody passes. And then suddenly it has to be a thing. So, but these things happen. And it's unfortunate. It's like he was saying, like Joe was saying, the level of manipulation is, it's based on humanity. So what happens when you remove humanity? I think and start manipulating people based in AI and like good profit numbers and all the rest of this stuff. It's sick. This becomes a sick thing. So the reason I'm talking about this tonight in terms of the real emoticons, if you guys see the thumbnail there, think about this, right? And we're talking about manipulating emotions through AI, okay, and through Zoom and sales calls, and how this is all going to be built in very, very soon to everything, basically. If you're online, it's going to be built in, right? They're going to be able to run back and do my facial expressions when you call and see if I'm interested in your phone call, right? Like that type of crap. So here's the thing. The real emoticon, remember when the emojis actually first came out, they were called emoticons, right? But it sounds pretty evil. It sounds like a Decepticon, right? It sounds like a bad transformer, right? Like it just sounds bad. The emoticons, right? You could click send me an emoticon, the little poo-poo emoticon, right? But then suddenly, right, they had to remove that and they noticed how the name changed and it became Emoji, right? Oh, it's cute now. Send me the poop emoji and it's cute, right? Oh, that's adorbs, right? It's cute. The emoji is now cute. The emoticon, sounded evil. It sounded sinister. But look what's happening now in this world of manipulative tech. Again, going back to this article just real fast, with Zoom actually using a real AI real time to take the temperature of sales calls and engagement and employee conversations, as not just sales calls, let's say internal conference calls, things like this. I'll get to that momentarily, but notice real quick, they changed the name from emoticon to emoji. So who is left holding the bag of the emoticon? That's right. It's you. It's you. It's me. It's we become the emoticons. We become the things being manipulated. And if you look at the thumbnail, you see, right? It's going to be the little poo-poo emojis or whatever are going to be in real time updated by our engagement level and pop up on some little screen, some little heads-up display that salespeople have to let us know, what's going on inside of our head. Tell me, is this sinister? Is this not? I got some other examples of this as we go and some terrifying turns this could take. So love to hear your thoughts on this, of course. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. I appreciate Joe sharing his knowledge of sales and the funeral business and thinking in terms of removing the human element from sales entirely. Well, what does that look like? Love to hear your thoughts. What do you know about this? Is this terrifying? Is this par for the course? Is this, don't worry because it gets worse. All right, love to hear your thoughts. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More about the real emoticons, which, by the way, is you. Manipulative tech and more when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing that. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Monday night. Monday doesn't suck. Your job just sucks. This is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may ask? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. As always, we're doing this live to include you and to take your phone calls. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And, of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. The number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Phone number is there. Discord is there. All the social media links, all the podcast stuff is all there. Troubledminds.org, one-stop shop for all things Troubled Minds. And there you go. I think, let's see, we got that. The other thing, what else? Oh, yeah. So we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If please join the Fringe Discord as well, fringe.fm/chat, and also please download the Fringe app. You can find that at, of course, your Apple or your Android app store, and it's completely free, and it's 7 p.m. Pacific. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. Just smash the play button Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m., and you'll get me, you'll get us, you'll get Troubled Minds Nation, you'll get all the other amazing programming that happens on Fringe FM. All right, let's do it. Let's roll. Now this gets even creepier, right? So the whole level of this, starting from this one article. This is an article by protocol.com. This is what we're talking about. Companies are using AI to monitor your mood during sales calls, right? And Zoom might be next. Zoom, of course, is the one everybody uses. Everybody uses Zoom for conference calls, internal stuff, external stuff, sales calls, all the rest of this. And what they're talking about, right? You see this little thing. It says client emotion status, and it's got little emojis, right? Based here. And this is sort of exactly what's going on with this concept tonight. Is the real, notice the name Emoticon used to be what the emojis were before they became emojis, right? And then I don't know if it was a branded thing or whatever. It's definitely a lot cuter to say than emoticon, because emoticon sounds like a Decepticon. It sounds like something evil, right? Well, an emoji, oh, it's just so adorbs, right? So we have this. You, in this day and age, you and me, we're the emoticons. You know why? Because we're the enemy. Because you take this software, again, this is from, they're going to implement this into Zoom coming up very soon. Just going to burn through a bunch of this real fast to catch you guys up. So check this out. Sitting alongside someone's image on a camera during a virtual meeting, the Q for Sales application, which is this entire emotional manipulation gizmo, visualizes emotion through fluctuating gauges indicating detected levels of sentiment and engagement based on the user's combined interpretation of their satisfaction, happiness, engagement, surprise, anger, disgust, fear, or sadness. The software requires video calls to be recorded and is only able to assess someone's sentiment when that individual customer approves of the recording, of course, right? But here's what it does, right? It's looking for cues associated with someone's tone of voice, eye and facial movements, and other nonverbal body language. Then it analyzes that data to assess their emotional attitude. All right, that's a t-shirt right there, emotional attitude with a middle finger. I got your emotional attitude right here. Now look, the thing is, some of these things, like we talk about this sort of version of getting together and talking as people, but then also with this sort of digital divide, or that digital darkness, like I've called it in the past, is that, it's magical. It really is. And that, look, without all this great actual technology, you're not listening to me right now, right? I'm in a secret bunker buried underground somewhere in the Nevada desert, and you guys are listening to me right now, wherever you're at, and you're seeing me on camera and all the rest of this. Without like a high, like a really hot internet connection, this doesn't happen. Without a really nice computer, right? It doesn't happen. This stuff doesn't happen, all right? So don't get me wrong. I understand that technology can be a two-way street. And of course, I see myself as different than emotionally manipulating the masses. Because of course, we have transparency as part of that. Again, 702-957-1037. Give me a call. We'll put you on the show. You can talk about this. If you think I'm off the rails, that's fine. That's what this is about. It's about talking to people. It's not about like gauging their interest through AI algorithms and then trying to sell them things they don't want. You get? You copy? All right. So anyway, so here we go. So this is the craziest part. It starts here. It starts with this. Zoom is going to implement this contraption, this gizmo. There's competing products right now that are trying, they're called Unifor and Sybil, and they're actually trying to set up, just a reading your emotions during a sales call. So if the sales pitch is not paced appropriately to manipulate you just perfectly, you'll get real-time readings of whether this reading the room, right, digitally. Now, is that creepy or what, right? Okay, so that's how this begins, all right? Now, the second part is this. Now, talking about when this is a thing, meaning that if we start allowing these sort of readings of sales calls, we also start to get, we're talking about facial recognition software. We're talking about huge data sets in terms of maybe being able to stick with what would you say, like make it persistent. So you don't just go to this thing, right, and get whatever it's called, one more time, Sybil, and it's Q for Sales. It's going to analyze people's moods during the call, but you don't just get that, all right? What happens if it becomes persistent? And then each time they have me, let's say I'm a client, I'm looking to buy some things, some things for my business, okay? And I'm taking Zoom calls with all the different business providers of services and things that I need, all right? Now, what happens when I've already had 3 or 4 or 5 calls with different competing services, and Zoom has been collecting my data points? So the last person to talk to me, the last company to talk to me, actually through these giant data sets has an advantage, because they know, right? They know when I even if I don't like visibly, like you're a good poker player or whatever, you don't visibly roll your eyes like, oh boy, right? Or like your eyes pop out of your head when you're surprised, right? Let's say you're still pretty like stoic and you don't really change your emotions that much, at least visibly, except to the most let's say keen-eyed AI observer. But so let's say the next step, right? Now they start collecting big data sets, right? And if you think that's too tinfoil hat, well, I got an example of this. Recently, Elon Musk, put in an offer for Twitter, right? And you guys heard this. There's a whole bunch of drama going on and all kinds of stuff, right? So Elon Musk, check this out. Now, this is pretty wild. There's been some hit pieces regarding Elon Musk, of course, because he's going to kill free speech. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But look at this. Now, speaking of data sets, right? Now, this is the terrifying thing. And look how they frame this. And they think we're so stupid, right, that we don't notice what's going on here. But check this out. This is from Business Insider. And look at this, just real quick to kind of tie this into some actual current events. The amount of data Elon Musk would have access to if he privatized Twitter, quote, cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed, per report. Oh, this is fine, right? This is fine. So notice, right? They're like, okay, if Elon Musk, the devil, or whatever you want to call this guy, right? Everybody's calling him the devil, the demon now. He's a right-winger. He's this, that, he's the other thing, right? If he succeeds, he's going to access so much information that it cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. We're talking about a data set so large, they're putting it in these terms. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? No matter what you think about Elon, look what's happening. They're basically saying we have enough information that it cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. Right? And we're like, oh, so it's fine that like a corporate board of, probably nefarious actors that nobody knows anything about are controlling this amount of information, right? And now we're talking big data sets. And not just big data sets, I have to say it again, a data set so big, it cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. You get what I'm saying here? Now look, are we foolish enough to believe, one, that statement is true? I think actually Facebook probably has a larger data set than Twitter, to be perfectly honest, right? Because they know what you eat for breakfast because you're posting your breakfast picture up on the thing. Twitter probably doesn't know that, I guess, unless you live tweet that crap too, right? I'm pretty sure Facebook is a larger spyware operation than Twitter. So I don't think it's cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. I don't think that's true. But in the sense that, let's say that Twitter or Facebook or one of these guys could actually lend or sell or rent their data sets to Zoom for sales calls, meaning that they could have a ton of information about me before they ever even have a Zoom sales call with me, right? You see what I'm saying here? So if they start sharing data in these gigantic data sets, again, cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. Let's read just a little bit of this. Let's see. Elon Musk's plan to privatize Twitter has spurred concern among privacy experts and social media researchers, including one former Harvard professor who told the Washington Post, of course, that having one person in control of the social platform is a disaster for user privacy. Oh, really? Really? Oh, really? And so we're expected to trust the nameless bureaucrats that currently have access to this, right? The new CEO of Twitter, Jack, bounced. Jack is out of Twitter because he got sick of their shenanigans, right? He said as much recently. And so, well, who's taking this over? Nameless, faceless bureaucrats on the board that own like 17 shares combined outside of Jack, right? Speaking of Twitter, just in terms of Twitter, all right? But here we go. The former professor and author of The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, Shoshana Zuboff, said huge ad revenue and unregulated data collection about user behavior have changed the social media industry, which now holds incredible sway over real-world events. All right? We're going to tie it back. Hang tight. Because content on social media platforms can influence public opinion and lead to changed behaviors, she said. The people in control of the sites hold a tremendous amount of power. Right? And so basically they're like, not Elon Musk, right? Just a hit piece. So you're telling me this huge amount of data already exists, all right? Twitter is in control of this unbelievable data set where they know a ton of stuff about us they should not know, all right? They should not know this stuff. And so they're basically saying, if you hand it over to Elon Musk, he becomes Darth Vader. Though, let's be real. And let's say that based on the amount of data they've already lifted, Darth Vader already exists, just in another form. See what's going on here. Now, take this idea again. All these links are in the description below. I am not outright making this stuff up. It could be, and as you know me, a lot of this stuff could be completely fabricated. It could be spun, it could be politicized, it could be hit pieces, which I believe this is, of course. But the point is that if they're talking in terms of, well, the amount of data that Elon Musk would have access to cannot be compared to anything that's ever existed. It currently exists. It currently exists. All right. Now, look, this gets even creepier. More and more creepy, right? Well, so what are your thoughts here as we go? Looking to hear from you guys. This is not a one-way thing. This is, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, regarding emotional manipulation by software, and then 2, we're talking about data sets so large just with Twitter. And to me, I think Twitter, honestly, is probably not as good spyware-wise as Facebook and Google. All right. So clearly, this is an inaccurate statement, because when Elon goes to Mars, he's also going to buy Facebook and Google. Book it. It's coming, right? But okay, all right. Just there you go. There's my dramatic statement for the day. But okay. So the amount of data that Twitter has, and it's going to be, let's say, change hands if Elon succeeds, cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. Flat out lie. Because I think it can. I think it can be compared to Facebook and Google. Their data mechanisms have been farming information about people for a very, very, very long time, right? So the thing is, longer than Twitter's existed. So, well, you tell me. Exactly. What's up? Ed Rush over on Rockfin says, these nerds are going to kill us. I love the sentiment. No, and that's what I'm saying here, right? So, okay. So how does this work? Like I said, so it goes back to sharing this data set so large it cannot be compared to anything that's ever existed. And then back to this AI Zoom that's manipulating our emotions through, here we go, a Sybil, the competitor, is an AI to attempt to analyze people's moods during a sales call, right? All right, so a sales call. So we got this. Let's see. Alerting the sale. Okay, so the company sells software that attempts to detect whether a potential customer is interested in what a salesperson has to say during a video call, alerting the salesperson in real time during the meeting if someone seems more or less engaged in a particular topic, right? So let's say your sales presentation is, I don't know, it's 10 bullet points, right? Something like this. And let's say you get through 3 or 4 bullet points, and this software is taking the temperature of the room. The sales taking the temperature of the room, right? Well, in the first 3 or 4 bullet points, the client is not really interested and not really into that at all. Well, then suddenly the AI picks up on your 4th bullet point or your 5th bullet point that there's an inkling of interest. There's a twinkle in the eye of the client. Yeah, its name is Sybil. What's up, Derek? Its name is Sybil. Exactly. That's what I said earlier. Its name is Sybil. So now this thing, right? The system is called Q for Sales, and there's different actual, marketing companies sort of pimping this. But now, okay, so it picks up the twinkle in your eye at bullet point number 5. So what do? As a salesperson, you lean on bullet point number 5 and sell the hell out of whatever the twinkle in the eye of the client seems to be, based on, again, AI algorithms. And there's a number of reasons why this should be problematic, where it can be problematic. So what are your thoughts on this, actually? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And there's a fightthefuture.org. And this is a number of actual things that you can, I'll look at this in one sec. Robert says, easy solution, don't participate in any sales calls. Bingo. But then if you're legitimately shopping for something to purchase, like a service for your business, then how do you dodge this, right? How do you dodge the manipulation, like an AI manipulation, right? Okay, so check this out. This is just a quick list of like terrible things, all right? This is a quick list of terrible things that this really does not account for. And of course, it turns this into just a really, really bad situation overall. Here we go. This is fightforthefuture.org. Dear Zoom, hi there, it's us. The millions of people who learned your name during the pandemic and have stuck with you through thick and thin to make the most successful video platform of all time, to make you the most. We rely on you for work calls, town halls, and word games with our families. We like you, we really do, but we're getting worried about you. Protocol reported that you're planning a feature that claims to track and analyze our emotions. We get that you're trying to improve your platform, but mining us for emotional data points doesn't make the world a better place. And selling this tech to employers or businesses so they can monitor and manipulate us for profit is really not cool. right? All right, 100%. It's manipulative. You describe this emotional surveillance tool as a way for businesses to hone their sales pitch by tracking the headspace of the person on the other side of the screen. Even that is a major breach of user trust. But we see the writing on the wall. Ultimately, this software will be sold to schools and employers who will use it to track and discipline us. You say you care about our happiness, so where does this dystopian vision fit in? There's more. There's more here. What are your thoughts on this? This is nuts, right? This is one of those things where I see this and I'm like, really? Like, somehow, some way, we're just allowed to, again, like I said, when I first started tonight, the question was, give me one example where emotional manipulation is a good thing, all right? And MJ had a couple of good examples, like maybe talking somebody off of a cliff when they were about to jump type of thing, right? That's fine. If you're doing it to save people's lives, or stop a bar fight was another one, those are some good examples, right? You kind of get in the heads of the people and maybe use reverse psychology or this or that or the other thing, right? So there's that, all right? But beyond, let's say, saving lives directly in some sort of like crisis situation, is there ever a good point where manipulating somebody emotionally is okay? Is it? And this is what got me fired up and pissed off about this and why I'm talking about this tonight, because I couldn't think of a single one. Look, you go to all this stuff. You go to, let's go to Healthline. Here you go. How to recognize the signs of emotional manipulation and what to do. All right. Everything you look at mental health, it's talking about being manipulated by people. It's talking about mental health. It's talking about all this stuff and how to spot when you're being mentally and emotionally manipulated. All right. So, hey, once again, explain to me how this is a good thing. Explain to me. Here we go. Things to consider. Emotional manipulators often use mind games to seize power in a relationship. The ultimate goal is to use that power to control the other person. You see what's going on here? Via algorithm. A healthy relationship is based on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. This is true of personal relationships as well as professional relationships. Oh, well, that's interesting. This is again from Healthline, talking about you as a victim being emotionally manipulated by somebody, right? What about when somebody is something? And we're going to get to more. This gets even creepier, all right? So now we're talking about this emotionally manipulating you through a Zoom call, all right? A sales call, like they said, a town hall, even playing Parcheesi with your family. What about poker, right? Some video poker through Zoom? No, not doing it. Not doing it. Nope, they catch the bluff instantly, all right? Okay, but then it gets even creepier because we're talking about this right here. The amount of data Elon Musk would have access to if he privatized Twitter cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed, right? Like he's Darth Vader. No, Darth Vader already exists. And let me tell you what, they're going to rent this information, all the things they know about particular individuals, including facial recognition, from Facebook, from Google, from Twitter, straight to Zoom and these other companies. You mark my words. You mark my words. So how can this get worse? I got some ideas. What are your ideas? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Being emotionally manipulated by software. Looking for one good example why this is a good thing. And of course, the real emoticon, like I said, it used to be called an emoticon. Now it's called an emoji because it's awfully cute. It's Gucci Goo. The poo-poo emoji sounds a lot more friendly than the poo-poo emoticon. It sounds like a Decepticon. It sounds like a Transformer. It sounds like you're the bad guy. Well, guess who just became the bad guy? That's right. The emojis are now cute with smileys and poo-poos and little trucks and trains and everything else, which leaves the original emoticon. And what do you think that is? My idea is it's us to be manipulated by software. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More troubled minds, the real emoticons, manipulative tech, and your calls when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of emotional manipulation. Not by people, but by machines. During sales calls through Zoom in real time. Well, couple that with large data sets and some other spooky stuff coming up. And where do you think this leads? Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Do you think this is creepy? Do you think at some point the entire manipulation process through the press and through the media and through the government and through literally everything, through the indoctrination of the schools, that, well, we will be so gaslighted by all things forever and forever that we no longer are able to even play in the game. Like, we're playing in their game, and by their game I mean the AI. I mean the AI's game. I mean the data set manipulation they're collecting to use against us, and that's exactly what it's for. Crazy stuff. So again, you tell me, how bad does this get? I've got some ideas, and we're going to get to that momentarily. Let's go to James first. James in Michigan. James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. Welcome to Troubled Minds, our paranormal expert. What's up, brother? How are you? Thanks for popping in here.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Always great with the audio, James. Once you got it on lock, you got it on lock, my man. What are your thoughts here? What do you think about facial recognition? What about kind of gauging the room temperature in real time through Zoom or these type of meetings? You think this is a good idea? And how deep does this get once they start really using it against us?
I don't know what your problem is with all this. It should be fine.
It should be fine. Exactly. Calm down, Mike. Calm down. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
He's overreacting on all this AI stuff.
Right? Per usual, right?
No, but I don't like any of it, of course. Just for anyone that doesn't know me, I was joking there. Yeah, and I don't follow all this stuff that closely, but this doesn't surprise me with everything that they're learning how to do with technology. This seems like a perfect idea from a company, a corporation, that doesn't care about anyone except for themselves. This seems typical of that.
Yeah, like we were saying with Joe earlier with the funeral process. He said there was a protection put in place back in 1984, right? I don't know if you caught that part, but it's crazy that we're talking about, let's say in this case, what are we going to have, like Zoom calls with like the doctor, like upselling us on medication and like the spa package for your surgery, you know what I'm saying? Like what the hell is this going to turn into?
Yeah, no, I did catch that, and the great call as always from Joe, and I've caught most of the show, and yeah, it's I think this is just only going to get more advanced. I think they'll just get into more and more technology. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they figure out how to read more into our typing, like our text messages, in terms of what they think our emotions are based on our text messages. I know it can be hard sometimes for people to figure out what we're like, for one person to figure out what the other person is feeling based on text messages, but if you get enough data in there, I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out how to do that someday too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the layers this kind of goes down once you start realizing, as all these technologies come together into like one uniform outfit, it's basically setting us up as that, like I'm describing us as the old school emoticon. It's us. And like they're able to literally just assign us whatever like little new emoji they've determined is what our current headspace is during whatever they're doing, that it's all manipulation. It's crazy. And again, think about that term again from the Elon Musk. They're saying that the amount of information Elon would gain by purchasing Twitter cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed. All right. Clearly, that's a lie, because Facebook has probably more data. Google probably has more data than Twitter, just in a one-to-one basis. But they're using that as like, you should be scared of all this data in the hands of somebody. Well, all that data is already in the hands of somebody. It's just not him, right? It's just not him.
Yeah.
right? Again, they think we're stupid. They think we're stupid. You create Emmanuel Goldstein from 1984, the boogeyman, and then you expect us to miss the forest for the trees. I didn't miss it. I was like, no, come on. Anyway,
Yeah.
So okay, what are your other thoughts here? Sorry, James, I like to ramble, as you know.
No, that's okay. And anytime I think anytime any news article puts out an absolute like that should be a red flag automatically. When it's something is all of something, or all of the data, or the most data ever, or whatever. I think it's that's a red flag right there to me.
Exactly, right? The most evil thing ever is about to happen. click the clickbait. Yeah. This will turn us into that dystopia that we all know and love. I'm going to get into more Elon. I got more Elon stuff to talk about, of course, but I don't know. Like, have you ever been pressured? Got a phone call, James, where you got like a salesperson on there, and they were just exceptionally smooth and just knew the right pressure points and made you buy something you didn't want to buy? Ever had that happen?
Not that I can think of, which is kind of scary in a way, because either that hasn't happened, or it has, and I just have totally lost track of it, and it was
blocked it out.
So well done that I just didn't even notice. And that's even more frightening in a way. So yeah, not that I can think of, but again, that's frightening in itself.
Yeah. Like I can't. So again, like I said, working in sales, it's like the first thing they try and teach you is overcome objections, right? And some people just do that by just talking over you, like not even hearing what you say. You're supposed to be a good salesperson is supposed to be adept at that and be able to overcome an objection and just keep on talking, right? They acknowledge you, they acknowledge the objection, they overcome it, and they just keep on selling, right? That's how you sell. But sometimes I pick up the phone and they're just like blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't have any student loans, and they're like blah blah blah. I'm like, stop talking, and then I have to just hang up because they don't hear a damn word I say, right? So I just stopped answering the phone. I'm just not answering the phone anymore. Right?
Yeah, I got a call from, and I forget which one it was, but a certain branch of the military years ago, and it was a recruitment call, and they were talking about all the benefits of this and that, and I tried to cut in like 3 times to say, I'm legally blind. They would not stop. I ended up just waiting until they were all the way done and saying, I'm legally blind. And of course they were like, oh, thank you. Click. Hung up. Like, if you would have taken a breath in the middle of part of that, I could have saved you some time.
Exactly. Suck it up, James. Rub some dirt on it. Get in here and shoot the bad guys. Come on, man.
Yeah, that'll go well.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, this is an ugly situation, because once they hand all this stuff off, you know what the next step is, right? Well, think 5 or 10 years down the road. What's the next step?
Oh man. Well, I mean, just complete manipulation of everything, every sale, everywhere. I don't know. I'm looking forward to hearing more of what you have to say about all this. But yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay, so here's my idea. In a very, very short time, they're going to be able to manipulate us, not just with this emotional thing, this big data set and all the rest of this, but then also we're not even going to have people selling anymore. It will be like an AI sort of sculpted to look like, I don't know, your favorite celebrity, like Tom Cruise or something, right? Because they know this, because they've got your big data set and you've like thumbs up all of Tom Cruise's movies on Facebook, right? Something like this. So this is what they're going to do, and this is where this is coming, right? Or they're going to be like, oh, this guy puts up, thumbs up all the hot blondes on YouTube or Instagram, right? So they're going to have like some just super attractive blonde woman, or Tom Cruise if he's your favorite dude or whatever, right? Selling you the package. And then not only that, in real time it's going to be monitoring and taking your temperature of the sales room and then applying the pressure. You wouldn't want to let old Tom Cruise down, or this extremely attractive blonde girl, would you? I mean, come on now. I mean, manipulation. And how do you win? I think how you win, James, is you hang up. You're too kind. You're too nice. I'm too nice. I try to be a nice guy. I can be a dick a lot, but I try and be a nice guy too, right? And so the thing is, like, look, if these people can't stop talking, like me, I can't stop talking. Just hang up on them. Just hang up. And guess what? They never valued you in the moment. And there you go. What's up, Night Stalker says James' new whole news feed is going to be Kate Beckinsale selling him a ton of products. There it is.
Dang it, Derek.
Right? That's the point. That's the point. How crazy. But yeah. Anyway, your thought on that, my friend?
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I can also see them making it someone that looks a lot like an actor, but not necessarily the actor. So it's even more subtle than just that actor. You know, it's more of just someone that looks similar to that person that you follow all the time online. Just so that they're not even, again, more manipulation, more just general manipulation in that way too. I mean, advertising, that's the whole thing they already do. People already do. So I can imagine AI would just, and if it's all AI and it's running on how many servers, I'd imagine it'd be even easier for that to just pull up this file, pull up that file, combine this with that. Seems like it'd be even faster, easier to adapt, quicker to adapt than a person could be.
Exactly. All right. So now we're talking about algorithms emotionally manipulating people for sales goals. All right. Now, what happens in that, let's say, speculative moment of that singularity where the AI starts to become self-aware? What do you think happens then? Speaking of the paranormal expert and the ghost in the machine, how bad does this get, James? How bad does this get?
Yeah, it would just take over. I mean, it would just be a matter of time before it takes over everything. If it breaks free of the people that made it, and it could just start manipulating everyone from those people, the people that are in power, let's say, down to everyone else. It would just take over everything. That's really, in a way, that's even more scary than a military takeover, because it's not even doing that. It's just giving people telling people what they want or what it thinks that we should want, and then trying to sell that, and then it's all digital, and then it could just expand over and over throughout the world.
Exactly, and worse and worse and worse all the way around. So we're going to get into the rest of this and some of this maybe what do they call it? Fake. What do they call it? Deep fakes. We're going to get into deep fakes, and we're going to get into some other really spooky stuff as we go tonight, including what Elon Musk suggested recently in an interview this weekend. We'll get into that as well regarding robots. So great stuff as always. I appreciate it, James. Thanks for popping in here and saving my ass as usual. You were the man. Always a pleasure. James here. You're welcome to stay, of course. James has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Check it out. Links in the description down below. He does paranormal stuff 5 nights a week, and that's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can go say hi. Go follow his podcast. James is a good dude, good friend of mine, and I appreciate it very much. Thanks for popping in here, my man.
Oh, no problem. I'm gonna bow out, but I'll be listening. So great show.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you later. All right, there you go. All right, so check this out. It gets creepier, right? So then check that out. As they get these data sets and they know that, let's say, for instance, like just to lean on James a little bit, I know he's got a good sense of humor and he won't get too mad. Let's say it's Kate Beckinsale, right? Because the joke is, by the way, that maybe you guys aren't, if you don't follow the show very closely, the reason why we say that is because we were just having some random conversation about, in an old show, like this was maybe a couple 3 months back or something, we were just talking about whatever, right? Just whatever. And then the movie came up with it was with Kate Beckinsale in it. What's the movie with the vampire? I can't remember the name of the movie at all. It's been so long. But anyway, so like that movie came up as part of the conversation. We were talking about it, and I said, Kate Beckinsale too, right? You can't go wrong there. Something like that. And then we kicked her name around a few times and then just kept on talking the conversation. But then the next Underworld, thank you, 40s. And then the next day, no joke, all of us, at least the people we talk to in here in the group, James, Derek, myself, we started getting in our news feed articles about Kate Beckinsale. We're like, what in the world is this? Like, how did this happen? And it was just so. At what point, right? Again, at what point is the deep fake? Like, you are the deep fake. You are the real emoticon. It's creepy. This is all super creepy, right? So I don't know. That's kind of the old joke, and why that sort of a joke kind of comes back from time to time, because we all got it the next day. Literally, we did a show, and the next day it was Underworld. Ed Rush has it right, and 40s had it right, Underworld. But yeah, so in the next day, we all got articles about Kate Beckinsale in our news feeds on our phones, and we were like, what just happened, right? Like, because we weren't like, super. I mean, everybody's a Kate Beckinsale fan, but it wasn't like, I don't have posters on the wall or anything. So suddenly we started getting that because we talked about her. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. But anyway, okay. So then the next step, just like James said, so maybe it's not Kate Beckinsale, but let's say it's a young, attractive female that looks Kate Beckinsale-esque. Reminds you just enough of her that it's not her, right? And then starts selling you things, right? Ever so swiftly and ever so deftly, interrupts you at the perfect times, selling you the things that you don't want, right? Making sure that even though you don't have student loans, you're signing up for the student loan debt problem thing, right? I mean, it's so crazy. If anybody's ever been locked into like a sales situation where you're just like, no, right? I've been. I bought a car once, and I regret it now. I completely regret it. I still own the car, by the way, because I'm a knucklehead. But it's one of those things where you're like, I should have walked away. Like, the dude that was selling me on a car lot was such an aggressive bastard. I should have just left. I should have been like, I don't like your attitude, and I'm out. And that's how you live and learn, right? That's how you live and learn. Like, you respect me and the things I'm saying to you, or you don't. You don't just like talk over me and bully me, and then like, there you go. You live and learn, right? And that's the point, right? So there's a subtle way of doing it, and of course that's reading your emotions and manipulating you and all those things like the AI might. But then there's the old school of just running you over sales-wise, right? There you go. 40s, never trust a car salesman. Yeah, I'm telling you, never trust a salesperson, period. And I just don't have patience anymore, right? If they keep talking, like, I get on the phone, I'll just hang up. I'm like, I'll say, you know what? I'm not interested. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Good luck. Sell a ton of things. It ain't to me. And then they just keep talking. I'm like, hello. And they keep talking. Hello. Bloop. Nope. Been around the block too many times to fall for that. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing, right? So we're talking about, again, we're talking about sales. And sales in the old school is, one person selling to another person, right? But we're talking now in terms of sales as, well, an AI gauging your facial responses and the temperature of the room through a gigantic data set in real time. And there you go. So, well, you tell me, how deep does this get? Does it get as deep as deep fakes, as Tom Cruise, your favorite movie star, selling you things? Does it get as deep as a Kate Beckinsale-esque young lady winking at you and making you think she's real? Or what happens when it takes the next step entirely? What happens when we start to get savvy, us people, because our brains adjust and adapt and we're smart, we start to detect an AI presence and we tune out entirely? What do you think their next step might be? Aside from deepfakes, let's say deepfakes are convincing-ish, but you're not going to buy a car from Tom Cruise. That's unrealistic, right? So, well, what happens at the next step? All right, let's go here. You want some really sick stuff? Let's go some Trouble Minds Maybe Juice. And this is from Knovhov. Yep. Artist makes 3D portraits from DNA found on chewing gum and cigarette filters. All right, so then we don't need any of this. We just create, well, faces, regular people, and make sure that you can, just sell. Like, basically meaning that, let's say you wanted me to sell something, right? You wanted me to sell, and you're like, okay, we could hire this guy, or we could just go, skim his garbage for his DNA and build his face and build it into our AI. And Michael Strange is our new salesperson. Or we could scalp it entirely and use this as a situation where we have people selling for us that they have no idea they're selling for us. So for instance, in this case, here we go. Now this is pretty wild. This gets sick. This is as sick as it gets, right? Imagine you threw away a chewing gum or a cigarette head on the street. Cigarette butt is what we say in the United States. This is probably from the UK. And then after a few days, you went to see an art gallery and seen your 3D printed face hanging on a wall. Oh. Do you ever think you were throwing all your physical details away with that chewing gum or cigarette butt? Well, that's what the Stranger Visions project is about, and it became world famous. And wouldn't you know it, Stranger Visions is the winner of an ARS Electronic honorary mention in 2015 and a special mention at VIDA 15.0 and many more achievements, blah, blah, blah. The artist is super talented, all the good stuff. After the analysis of the DNA, the main physical factors like gender and ethnicity and many other factors are found and generating a much more accurate portrait by a 3D printer using the experiments of facial recognition and using face generating software. Okay, so you see the next step and how this starts to become WTF. All right, so let's say we get wise to deepfakes, and we're not going to buy a car from Tom Cruise or purchase a, I don't know, what would you say, like a timeshare from specifically a Kate Beckinsale-ish, right? Let's say we're not going to do that. We're not going to fall for that because we're like, no, this is not a thing. So what do? Well, of course, they start building robots that have actual faces of real DNA people selling to you in real time, overcoming objections. What's up, Brene Sauce? You can't get gender from DNA. Yeah, it's kind of a knucklehead article, and right, it's artistic license and all the rest of this. But I still think there's something to it, and this gets creepier and creepier. So we're going to keep talking about this, of course, because it gets deeper than that. And we've got some Elon Musk stuff. Again, he had an interview over the weekend we're going to talk about in the third hour here, but it gets creepier, and it gets creepier, and it gets creepier. Once you start putting the pieces together and realizing what's actually happening here, this is a digital checkmate. And how do we win? How do we win? Damn it, Robert, I can't say that on the air. They'll take us down. Yeah, so there you go. Take it easy, Fred. Good stuff. I appreciate it, bro. All you guys dipping out, have a fantastic night. We're about to get off the radio a couple hours in. But that's there we go. I don't know. We'll get into how deep this goes because, of course, right? How quickly do you think we're going to have actual real AI, like the AI butler, stomping around the house with the face of whoever the hell you want the face to be? This gets creepier and creepier. And of course, don't forget the AI manipulation and just like the emotional manipulation of people. As I defined it when we began, it doesn't seem like it's a good thing to me. Well, anyway, as you know, the way this works is exactly like this. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop and Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. That would be, of course, not D-Live because we shut that off because of the hacks happening over there. But that would be Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. And, of course, the podcast feed. So, I don't know. There's more. This gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The more you look into it, the more you start to put pieces together. Big data sets, emotional manipulation by AI, sales, deep fakes. But what about androids? You guys ever heard of replicants from Blade Runner? Well, we're about to get there. All right, so as we finish, it goes exactly like this. Thanks for being part of this show. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being enthusiastic. It brings me back every night. And be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. I'm telling you, this gets creepy. This gets creepy. Good night, guys. Got some folks who hang out for the Fringe and Bounce. Look, third hour's for you. I got some actual clips to play from Elon Musk, sort of cementing this as not just a big data set AI operation to emotionally manipulate us as proof. Links in the description down below. This past weekend, Elon Musk had an interview discussing his robots coming soon. So, well, how does this fit? Where does this go? What's the next step? How hard can they manipulate us? And how can we escape? Looking here from you, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Kelly says the reason they could get away with using your DNA on gum or cigarette butt is because when you throw it away, that means it's trash. And trash is something you didn't want. Finders, keepers. Police departments use trash to get info and DNA. Yes, sir, indeed. At what point? We're going to be, at some point, listen to this, we're going to be like, there's going to be people out there with signs like chanting for robot rights, and then they're going to be farming our DNA from bubble gum and cigarette butts. WTF. All right, talk about the upside down. 2-minute break, more Trouble Minds on the way. I got clips from Elon. I got tons of stuff to talk about still. Love to hear from you. Rather have your thoughts, but, well, I'm prepared. Here we go. Don't go anywhere. More Trouble Minds. 2 minutes. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter because, of course, DLive's getting hacked right now, so we'd rather not have that happen. And what's happening? I hope everybody's well tonight. Just talking about crazy stuff here. This gets deeper and deeper, right? The more you look into this, have you ever heard of a replicant? Well, we're about to get to replicants, and we're about to get to some Elon Musk stuff because, again, right, he's the Antichrist. He's the devil, as many have told you. And, well, what does that mean? Does that mean he's actually bringing in, I don't know, whatever happens next? I don't know. I have no idea here. I don't have answers. You know me. I'm not the answers guy. I'm just the questions guy. And a lot of these questions really freak me out. So look and hear your thoughts. What about this emotional manipulation? What about this, the technology? Again, companies are using AI to monitor your mood during sales calls. What do you think the next step is? What do you think the next step is? There's more here from, of course, Fight for the Future. We started to do a little bit of that. But listen to this. This gets super wild. And then we'll get into some Elon Musk stuff because, like I said, rather hear from you, but I can talk all damn night. I'll be here all night. All right. Here we go. So not only is it manipulative, right? It's discriminatory, as they say, and this is completely true. Sentiment analysis, like facial recognition, is general, is inherently biased. It has connections to historic practices like physiognomy, is that how you say that? Which has been proven totally bunk, not to mention totally racist, they add. These tools assume that all people use the same facial expressions, voice patterns, and body language. But that's not true. Adding this feature will discriminate against certain ethnicities and people with disabilities, hard-coding stereotypes into millions of devices. The old human bias. How do we write human bias out of software? Interesting. I think we let the software make up its own mind, don't we? And then if we do that, well, we might have bigger problems. Here we go. So not only that, this is fightforthefuture.org, and they're talking about Zoom and how they're using this software to monitor your emotions and manipulate your emotions during a sales call, right? Has anybody out there ever actually bought something you didn't want to buy, right? Don't do it. Walk away. You buy something because you want to, not because you feel bad for the person selling it. All right, that's an important notion. And us old timers, I'm not that old, but us old timers, well, we've been around the block a couple times, and we're like, nope, not happening, never again. All right, there's more. It's pseudoscience. It says, let's be honest. This emotional measuring stuff is a marketing gimmick, and experts admit that it doesn't even work. The way we move our faces is often disconnected from the emotions underneath, and research has found that not even humans can measure emotion from faces some of the time. Why add credence to pseudoscience and stake your reputation on a fundamentally broken feature? And here we go. There's more. And again, this is from fightforthefuture.org. Good stuff. Actually talking about the way we should be recognizing how these computers are, well, they're computers, and algorithms are algorithms, and they are basically locked into human biases. And if you cement these as, let's say, the next what would you call it? The next church of technology as the truth, it turns into a bunch of really nasty stuff, doesn't it? So here we go. And the final point here from the Fight for the Future against Dear Zoom, which is, again, where I found this information. We already lost trust in a bunch of other companies because of shady tracking systems and other extractivist practices. Zoom, this is a chance to be one of the good ones. You've made the right call before, like in 2020 when you changed your mind about blocking free users from your encrypted service. You even canceled face tracking features before because they didn't meet your privacy standards. This can be just like those times. We're just asking you to put the privacy and happiness of your users first. You're the industry leader, and millions of people are counting on you to steward our virtual future. Making the right call and cancel this crummy surveillance feature and publicly commit to not implementing sentiment analysis in the future. With tons of emotion, heart emoji, your users. Because, of course, the emojis are the cute little emojis. Don't forget, we are the emoticons, because the emoticons are the enemy. The emoticons. All right, so that's what's going on tonight. What do you think? I don't know. Again, like I said, when I see this stuff, it's too important not to talk about. I understand that sometimes talking about monsters or the universe is a lot more sexy and exhilarating. But I think keeping our feet firmly on the ground and keeping an eye on tech is critically important to one, understanding what they're trying to do to us, and I say they as in corporations, as in governments, allowing them to literally use emotional manipulation as a tactic, right? And again, this goes back to the three laws of robotics, right? The old that whole bit, right? Where if we're going to use AI in these gigantic data sets, it does become sort of that AI god, right? And in some cases, the AI god becomes, well, insurmountable, let's say. That's probably a good way to put it. But yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, you guys are into it. Cool. Maybe not. And that's fine by me because, well, we always have tomorrow. 702-957-1037. Now, back to that Elon Musk thing real quick, talking about these gigantic data sets. Now, look, from Business Insider, the amount of data Elon Musk would have access to if he privatized Twitter cannot be compared to anything that has ever existed, all right? Which is bullshit because it clearly exists. It exists. It already exists. They just don't want it in his hands because they want their little censorship machine, right? They want to have their little censorship machine in the public square and lean it the way they want it, right? And again, like I said, I was going to bring this up earlier because I knew it would trigger people. I didn't because I knew it would trigger people. I'm going to bring it up now because all y'all have bounced, so I'm going to just bring it up now. So this is the thing. Regarding, let's say, emotionally manipulating people, right? Let's go to that Don't Say Gay bill in Florida for just a moment. And I don't want to get into this in particular and talk about this in particular, but I just want to talk about the framing of how this thing has worked, right? And that you have one side of the aisle, the right side, calling the lefties pedo groomers, okay? And on the left side, you have the lefties calling the righties bigots, right? Bigots and transphobes and all the rest of this stuff, right? So you see how this works in terms of exactly what's happening here. That it's not as simple as that. Like it's actually a pretty complex thing. We're talking about teaching kids about gender identity and sexual orientation, and like a lot of, like, I don't even know if I'm using the correct terms anymore because the correct terms like are elusive because they're always changing. The goalposts always change. But the point is, right? Like, so we're talking about teaching young children about this sort of outside of their parents' guidelines or whatever that may be, right? We don't know what the individual parents' guidelines are. So we're talking about teaching this stuff. And is it right? Again, I don't want to talk about this in particular. I'm bringing it up as an example. One side calls the other side pedos. One side calls the other side bigots. And here's where we're at, right? Both of those tactics are emotional manipulations. Okay, that's what they are. They want to get you whooped up and into a lather so that you hate the people who oppose or don't oppose a thing, right? That's the whole point. But you see, right, as perfectly and deftly done as this has been in, no matter what you think about this, again, like I said, it's complicated. It's not as simple as a lefty-righty crap narrative what they want us to believe it is. It's not. It's just not. All right? But then, on top of that, we're talking about lending these emotional manipulation tactics and then perfecting them in AI space. Not just that, like I said, you can put one on me right now and run this video through one of these things eventually and be like, okay, Michael really believes that, he doesn't believe that, this type of thing, right? But again, at some point, it's like a lie detector test, right? It's like fucking pseudoscience, meaning that you can't do it at all. You like, sure, you may. It's like those people. Have you seen the body language people that are on YouTube that get just fucking millions of views? These guys, and they're like, oh, that person, they leaned backward when they said this, or they leaned their head cocked this way when they said that. And what that tells me, come on now, it's at some point, right? Sure, fine, maybe in general terms, like sort of maybe, right? Like I'm willing to take some maybe juice there, all right, but. Are you kidding me? You can really determine like an entire person's, like, let's say, the structure in their point, truth or not, whether they believe what they're saying, if they're trying to be manipulative, all this stuff from simple body language. Maybe partially, but I think there's probably a lot more to it. And it is pseudoscience. Lie detectors are pseudoscience. 100%. It's bullshit, right? It's a way to say, I gotcha. That's all it is. It doesn't mean a damn thing. The little needle went like this. So, right? Like you got to control. It went like this, or it didn't. Anyway, what are your thoughts here? Being manipulated by AI. I got some other stuff to get to. Replicants, androids, more Elon Musk. Rather hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Thanks for being patient with my ramblings. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Good evening.
Yeah, well, thinking about it, as far as the failing, I think people have I don't know, you may have to skip several generations or something, but I think that people really do have an edge on sales. Like, I don't think the internet could sell me anything. Like, when I get on, if I open up my laptop or my phone or whatever, and I get on the computer, my whole mind like shifts gears that it's something different from the rest of my life. Like I see it as a separate thing that I might do business on or that I work from or this kind of thing. But I don't think that it could ever get in my head to make me buy anything because I just don't feel like that could happen. But with people, it's completely different. Like I mentioned in the chat, like I have been sold things I didn't want. Like I bought a house. Like, I bought a house from, like, this person. Like, okay, I got approved for a loan, the whole thing and everything, years back now. And I had been looking for a while. I got tired of looking. And one day there was this one house, and the guy who showed me the house was like this. It wasn't even like an attraction or anything. He had like this, but he was just so flamboyant about it. Like, he was just so into selling it to me. And he showed me the house, and he literally had like a polka dot bow tie. I kid you not. Like he was like this real estate guy that was like really, I'm not kidding. It was like a caricature. And the way that he went over the house and was like just really wanting to sell it, and I freaking bought it. I was like, this was years ago. Like it was several years back. Like I was like, I was young, you know what I mean? But I was just like, oh my God, like I've never seen somebody just throw them. And I really did. I was just swayed into buying it because he wanted to sell it so bad. And that's crazy. But I literally bought a house because of it. And the house itself, I didn't even particularly want it. And I truly did buy it and think this will work. I'll just work with this, I guess, because I'm tired of looking. And because this person, like, just, it must be meant to be. And maybe it was. But there was some kind of connection there that in my mind made sense. And then, like I mentioned before, like the only other time I could think of where I was persuaded to buy something I didn't want was a pair of jeans, and literally the woman wouldn't let me out of the dressing room. Like, she was just so hard sale about it that she was like I'd try some on and I'd be like, I don't really, I don't even know if I want to buy any of these, but she just kept bringing them to the dressing room and wouldn't let me out, So eventually I was like, okay, I'll buy these, And so I was just like, I'll buy these. And I was like, just let me go, because I didn't want to be mean. It's really weird. But because they wanted to sell it so bad, and maybe the mindset at the time, I was just like, I don't know, I just kind of went with it, because I could. But I think that I don't think that the AI aspect of it, like at least for myself, will ever work. I think that it's going to be an uphill thing that I won't be convinced to buy anything I don't want from any kind of a logarithm or anything like that. I mean, like I mentioned too, like they've been trying, like I see ads all the time for anything that's mentioned, but I was already thinking about buying it if I was going to. So you kind of know what you want. And those are the occasions where I knew what I wanted, but it just wasn't coming up. So I took something that I didn't want. And I was persuaded to do it by a human, And it's only because, like, I was relating to them on some human level. And I was like, okay, this is going to be good for you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
but I just went with it. Yeah, I guess this is good for you. But I don't know. And for me, I guess I'll just see if it works. I don't know. It's just the right, and that's how sales kind of works sometimes. It's just like the right person at the right time. And I guess I was. But I don't know. It's kind of strange when you think about it that they are tracking all of those things, and they convince people all the time about everything in their lives that they would hope to control. As far as the education system, agreed. I mean, it's too bad. It's hard to imagine that they have so strongly manipulated even, the youth, like the little children of the world, basically. They try to mold them into what they want them to be in the future. It's what they've been doing. But there are choices. And as long as people can realize that they play the most powerful place, in general in the United States anyway, in their children's lives, that they can, and around the world. But that you can do the best you can to take sway over that. And there's a choice that always comes into play about how you're going to approach it and how much room you're going to give others to approach the minds of the children. And it doesn't have to, it's not at this point necessarily by force. It's a very strong game they're playing. But as long as you're paying attention, I don't think it's that penetrable. And I don't believe that AI can ever get the edge on humanity unless they are manipulative. So wait a minute. So I don't know, unless they're manipulative to a point that somehow outsmarts the average human being, because we're all of average intelligence, which is pretty good. Average intelligence is incredibly impressive. You don't even have to be above average.
Yeah, right.
I'm serious.
I know. I know.
Like
George,
average intelligence.
Yeah, George Carlin famously said, imagine how stupid the average person is, and then imagine that half of them are stupider than that. There you go. That's
true. Like,
George Carlin
average
joke.
Intelligence is incredibly smart. So,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
Even just, average intelligence is enough to keep this at bay to a point. It's just a lot of times I think people are just worn down. They're worn down. And like with that house I bought, I literally bought a house like years ago.
That you didn't want.
That's not a small thing, but I was so tired of looking. And he seemed to be trying the hardest, and I just went with it. Like literally that simple, and a complete mistake, a horrible, horrible mistake, that carried on for like 6 years. But that was that. And it was a good experience, I guess, in the end. A horrible experience. But at the same time.
Okay, so in the next step, so I think you're right. There is some sort of human connection. Like I find myself, like, you buy a car, you make like a significant purchase, and like I'm concerned for like the person, like, is this commission? Are you getting anything? I want to help. You help me, and I want to help you.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. It's not even like that. It's just most times it's just not even like that. They're just like a shark in the water, and they see blood.
it was such a serious thing. It was such a big deal. And I was just like, I'm so tired of looking, and I don't know. And oh, well.
Oh, well. Live and learn. Like I said, you've been around the block once or twice. You're not going to fall for that one again, are you?
No, not that one.
No, maybe something else, but not that one.
So now I'm always looking under the. If I look even to rent now, I'm just like looking under the sink. It's like it's just how's the furnace? The ceiling literally fell in the laundry room like 3 months in. I walked into the laundry room and the ceiling was on the floor. Like, I kid you not. Ridiculous. Wow. Anyway, but,
that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it was. But I don't know. So I don't think that AI. I hope that. I think it would take to human. I mean, I know with the replicants. I love Blade Runner and the new movie they came out with too. But the idea of this with the AI becoming so human, and also to like Prometheus, where they're talking about that's an incredible story. But I was like of that movie where they're talking about the AI like unleashing wrath upon like wiping out, surpassing us, this kind of thing. I don't know. I guess they could. I don't know. Let's hope not. Right?
Yeah.
And if they do, I mean,
exactly.
I guess we could be proud of that. I don't know.
or like you're just a lousy salesperson that's aided by AI, so it makes you like super effective because like the red light comes on, so you just change the subject. The green light comes on, you keep talking about whatever you're talking about, right? I mean, that type of thing. That's when it becomes terrifying because it's
now,
like
that's different.
Yeah, right. That becomes something else
for sure. Where you're just, where you're like, oh, you're losing them, and you're like, okay, I'll change my pitch. I don't know, but I can see how that. I mean, I've never really done sales before. I've worked in like a retail shop, but even that, I was really lackadaisical about it. I was like, oh, you don't want it. That's okay. I'm horrible at sales. But I can tell you don't want this.
Right, and the bottom of the sales leaderboard is where you were at.
Yeah, seriously. Like I probably, I'm just like, oh, they don't want this. This is not even what they're looking for, and give up. Because I don't know. I have no interest in making somebody do something they don't want to do. I'm not sure how you get to that point where like I'm going to make people do what I want them to do for my benefit.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
You have to be in a pinch.
Yeah. Quick question before you bounce. Ronald wants to know, when can we expect a new video on Jennifer's YouTube channel? Soon. There you go.
Very soon. Because I'm serious. Like, very soon. Like, I'm actually planning, like, how I'm going to do it. Like, I'm thinking slideshow or something. Slideshow with live presentation or something. Like that style. In fact, I'm going to bother you about that and be like, how do I do that?
I got you. I'll help you. Anything you don't know, if I can help you, I'll help you. You know where to find me. 100%. Okay, I got you.
I know nothing.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I got you. I'll teach you what you need to know. No problem at all. No problem at all. So good luck with that. Again, if you need me as part of that, let me know. I'd be happy to jump in there and do a video or several with you if it needs to be. You let me know. You got me. You know where to find me, and you're the best. I appreciate the phone call.
Oh, awesome. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot. You too. And again, Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description, and she's going to get back to it very shortly. Thanks, Jennifer. Have a great night. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. Give her a follow. New Jennifer videos coming up. There you go. All right, so we're still talking about this. What about this idea of being emotionally manipulated by an AI that's in real time through Zoom, sort of maybe giving cues to the salesperson with a red light, green light sort of situation. Let's go to, looks like, I think this is Mike in Colorado. Algorithm, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you? What's up?
Hey, Michael Strange. Nice to hear you, buddy. Interesting topic. I missed the first part, so I definitely have to listen back. But when I heard the emotional manipulation and AI, if people ever clicked a suggested video on YouTube, then they're already there.
That's exactly what it is, isn't it? Like they've taken from your search history, your browsing history, that this is the things you like, and here's another one. Yes, sir, I'll have another. 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah,
99 bottles of beer.
Well, and I'll tell you, very few times do I go on YouTube just to go be entertained. I'm always trying to learn from other people and hear other people like you and others. And when I do once in a while go to a off-road four-wheel drive channel, every suggestion in that line is the same stuff. It's none of the channels I know. It's just, okay, now you're looking at four-wheel drives, and we're going to give you everything about Jeep parts and four-wheel drive parts. And so I think it's going to be a lot more subtle. I mean, it already is more subtle. I think it's going to sneak in a lot more subtly than we expect. Like Jennifer just said, I'm never going to buy something from an AI. Well, I bet you will, because it's going to be so sneaky, you're not going to know that's what it is.
Oops, I muted myself. I think indeed, yeah, you're right. And but not only that, even if it's, let's say you remove like the human knucklehead awkwardness out of it and have like the red light, green light situation on like a live sales call, even like in like a phone situation where it's kind of detecting like the strain in your voice or like the pauses, or right, like it gets so good that it starts to know, you know, you're losing them, red light comes on, change the subject, right? Like that type of stuff, even like with a human salesperson, it starts to become super creepy, because with, as you know, given these big data sets, they know exactly who we are. They know exactly what we're thinking most times, because, well, they've been watching for a very, very, very long time now. We're talking tens of years, and they have all this stuff stored. They don't just throw your data away. Even after you die, they keep that shit, right? Why? Like, why would you keep my data or your data after you die, right? Like, why would you?
Well, I think the reason you would is because when you found this other person who had enough markers that lined up with that dead person's data.
Exactly.
Now you can stop trying to puzzle them out, and you just run with that.
Exactly. They're like, this person, let's say 100 years down the road, is very much like that Michael Strange character. We'll just run the data set on that guy, right? Modified a little bit based on modern times and products, and boom, there you go. That's exactly why you wouldn't get rid of that data. It's creepy. I got these clips. Elon Musk did an interview over the weekend. He was talking about this. He's like, it's extremely creepy. Somebody passes away and they've got this online digital footprint, and it's still all there. It's still all out there, right? Yeah. Like, God forbid.
It ain't going anywhere.
It ain't going anywhere. God forbid you or I pass away. Our shit's still there. It's not coming down until somebody takes it down, right? It's creepy. It's creepy, man. I mean, I don't know, man.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you, when you say spot the emoji, there is a channel out there. It's called Professor Bulworth Smythe. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. I'm going to link it in YouTube. It's a playlist of emojis. He lines up the original, I can't remember the company that started emojis, but he lines up the original emojis with literal demons from ancient books. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. I like it, really. So actual...
he's a puppet, too.
I love it. I love it. So my whole point tonight is, that's amazing. So remember, it was called Emoticons, and then they changed it to emoji. Emoticon sounds like a Decepticon, like you're evil, right? But emoji sounds adorable. Yeah. You see? you see how they just transferred you?
And he mentions that about the emoticons.
Does he? Okay, interesting. All right. I thought I was novel here.
And I can't link it in YouTube. I'll put it in Discord for you. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No, all good. Perfect. I was about to say the same thing. Actually, I think I can make you a mod on YouTube, and then you can link a thing. Hold on. Let me see if I could.
It's all right.
Yeah, either way. You already did it? Okay, all right. All right. Yeah,
No, I didn't, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I think you're onto something a lot, and not only the creepiness, but the dehumanization of actual humans is part of what I see happen every time one of these new programs or these new procedures of how they operate or new policies of companies. Each time one of those comes out, on my Richter scale of, whatever, I see a dehumanization of men and women each single time.
Exactly.
And that's probably the part that bothers me.
Exactly. And so it comes down to communication, right? Again, back to that Orwellian sort of newspeak and doublethink. It's like they want to, instead of you saying, this, that, the other thing, they want you to just put a poop emoji. You're like... You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. And I don't know, like it seems silly to say that, but like you think deeply about it, and that's exactly what it is. It's newspeak. It's newspeak. Imagine like having to try and communicate a thought with only emojis.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, and the part of it, though, besides that's bad enough. The part of it is that your data set and your projected viewership is not you. It's where you are in that particular moment, but it's not the totality of what is Michael Strange. Even the radio show, our conversations, all the stuff that we talk about, and the fun stuff that everybody gets into and the woo and all that, that's not you. That's not the entirety of you. And if we allow our society to sell to us and show us things based on that little snapshot of us, I think unless we fight for it, it's going to take away the totality of us at some point.
That's exactly it. They're kind of snatching it away, one emoji at a time, aren't they? That's what's happening here, and I agree with you. And if you go back to the whole point of like the depersonalizing, dehumanizing people, again with the lefty righty politics, like I was saying about the don't say gay bill, the guys on the right are calling the lefties pedos, the guys on the left are calling the righties bigots, right? It's like the whole point of that is emotional control. That's the whole point. It's a lot more nuanced than that. It's a conversation to be had, which we're not going to talk about here because no, thank you, fuck that. Right, that's for some other channel, some other day. I'm not doing that. Right, I am not taking mainstream narratives. But my point is, notice how they literally point at each other and just call each other the worst names they can think of. Nazi, pedo. Right? It's like, okay, all right. I guess this is where we're at. Right.
And it causes me to wonder if the AI hasn't grabbed enough of how we act online and said, okay, well, if this is how they act online, I bet we can make them act this way in real time. Who knows how many of those stories that they read are written by actual humans anymore?
Yeah, there's another terrifying aspect to that.
Have you seen any of the stories that the AI writes?
Yes. I found some interesting stuff about that recently. I'll talk about that probably not too soon because it's probably too close to this. But yes, indeed. Tell me what you know about it.
Some of them don't suck, and the syntax is pretty compelling. And you can take a story and you could read it and think a human wrote it. And if you think that human wrote it from your blue team or red team, you're probably going to buy into it. I mean, there's a strong possibility the AI could be feeding most of the narrative about the, quote, don't say gay, unquote, bill, when reality has nothing to do with, I mean, the reality is not even close to that phrase.
No, of course.
It's truly not.
But they're Nazis.
But the people on both sides have grabbed it and run like Forrest Gump with it.
Yeah. Yep. In opposite directions. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And like, again, like if you're kind of entrenched in that field or, you know, whatever that political indoctrination is, like you don't see it. Like you just think the other side is the devil. But like, how can both sides be the devil? Oh, I know. Because both sides are the devil. Because both sides are the devil.
Well, yeah, both sides are the devil, yeah. And the dum-dums in the middle are spending all their money and energy and their entire life over something that, A, probably doesn't affect their personal life. Anybody outside of Florida that talks about that bill is almost inept because it's not going to affect your personal life. It has nothing to do with you. But we're caught into that mindset that it does, and it's so creepy. But hey, creepy. Good show. I'm definitely going to go back and listen back. If you can see that Professor Bowler Smythe in the chat, save it. I think you'll really enjoy it. You may even end up like delving deep into that. It's pretty fun. As always, Michael Strange, I thank you so much for taking my call.
I appreciate you. You're the best. Thanks for calling. Always a pleasure, my friend. Algorithm. Mike in Colorado, he's got a channel. Check it out. Links in the description. Talk to you soon, Mike. Have a great night, brother. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Algo. Thank you, James. Thank you, Joe, for calling tonight. Like I said, you guys are the ones that make this world go around. It is me. I can talk, and I do have clips, and I come prepared just in case anymore, just because you never know, right? You never know when people aren't going to be interested, and all the rest of that. So you got to be prepared to be prepared to go. So there you go. So what do you think? What do you think about the real emoticons, emojis? What do you think about manipulative tech? What do you think about this idea of huge data sets being fed into Zoom to actually give you the red light, green light of exactly where you go and what you do regarding any kind of sales call? Or this starts with sales, but where does it go, right? Where does it go? You want another example real quick? I see there, APOC. I'll get to you in just a sec. Thanks for being patient. It goes here. Listen to this. This is from itpro.co.uk. Real fast, just a couple real fast ones, and we'll get to APOC, and we'll get back to this if we got time. Microsoft is building a Teams tool that can tell if you're bored during a video call. Well, this should be fine, right? This should be fine. What about this one? Axios. Trouble for workers who turn cameras off. Stunning stat. 92% of executives at medium to large firms think workers who turn cameras off during meetings don't have long-term futures at the company, according to a new survey from Viopta, a software company. Why it matters? The data adds grist to the worry that hybrid and remote employees have expressed about the post-pandemic world, that those who choose to work from home some, most, or all of the time will be out of sight, out of mind for bosses. Well, nope, they think you're a clown and they're about to fire you. And there you go. There you go. That's what this is about. That's what I'm fucking talking about. This is not just about sales anymore. It starts to become that Orwellian big brother for every damn thing that happens. And this is insanity. 702-957-1037. Thank you so much for the phone calls tonight. Let's go to APOC. APOC in Oklahoma. Are you there? Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
I am. Can you hear me?
Good evening. We conquered the Discord monster. What's going on tonight? How are you?
We did, thank goodness.
Yes.
So I missed the first 2 hours. I am so sorry. Had stuff to do.
That's okay. You're forgiven already. Instantly forgiven. Boop. Thanks for confessing.
Okay. But I called in before Jen, or I was in the queue before you got Jen online, and she actually mentioned something that I was going to talk about, and I think Jen would be an excellent salesperson. And here's why. I was in sales for a very long time, and I was at one point in time, I was in a phone room with 60 people in one room on one side and 60 people on the other side approximately. And we had sales boards. And me and a few other girls mostly sat together, and we had similar sales styles, and that's why we sort of grouped together. And then we had the bullies, which usually chose kind of the front of the room. And the bullies would get tons of sales right off the bat. By midweek, they were like 1 to 3 on top of the sales board. And by the end of the week, their sales started dropping, and ours started rising and rising and rising. And here's why. There's something called buyer's remorse, right? And when you bully people into buying something, they are much, much more likely to return it.
Return that shit and never come back.
Return that shit.
Yes, indeed, right?
And me and the other girls, we would literally just use statistics. We would go through and find the people who wanted to buy something, right? We sold magazines and shit. People, I almost thought about catching myself on the bad word, and I realized we're in the 3rd hour, so I'm good.
Go right ahead.
But they would basically by the end of the week, they would be so upset with us because we were like number 1, 2, and 3 almost every single week towards the end of the week, and they were 1, 2, and 3 towards the beginning of the week. And they were like pro salespeople. They were manipulators. You know, they would do anything and everything to keep that person on the phone until they sold them something. And that was their mistake, because they would literally manipulate and bully them into buying it. And then 2 days later, the next night, they'd think about it and go, nope, I don't want this. And so I think Jen would probably make a great salesperson.
Probably.
But initially, I was going to call in about NLP, and in neurolinguistics, they have something called eye accessing cues. And I heard you mentioning something about facial recognition and probably what's that guy's name? There's a guy who did like certain facial looks and stuff like that. What is his name?
There's a lot of guys that do that.
Anyway,
like the body language, right? The tics.
The first one. First one, he went like all over the world, and he studied people in like different tribes and stuff like that. He went all over the world, and he studied these things. And I, in learning NLP, recognized that there is something to the eye accessing. That means when you, except for 10% of the population, will reverse it from right to left. But if they're looking in one direction and to one side, they will be accessing information from one part of the brain. And if they're looking down and to the left, they'll be accessing like kinesthetic stuff. If they're looking from right to left, just normally that will be auditory, and up is visual. Now, the challenge with this is that some people learn this and they go out and they teach police officers and they teach groups how to tell if somebody's lying or telling the truth. And I'm like, wait. Nope. No.
Pseudoscience. It's like a lie detector. Like I was saying, right?
Now the truth is not pseudoscience, and the truth is that is where they're accessing the information. What is pseudoscience is saying that you can tell if they're lying or telling the truth, because that is absolutely incorrect. If you know which direction somebody is looking, you know where they're accessing the information. You don't know what they're doing with it in the process, right? You don't know that they're not going to a remembered memory and then going over to a constructed memory and constructing the remembered memory into something that forms properly in this context in a constructed memory. And what they're trying to say is if you're in constructed accessing, that means that you're lying, and that's BS. That's BS. Same thing with the guy who did the facial cues. In my opinion,
it's all horseshit.
You can know.
I'm with you. It's all horseshit.
Well, you can approximate what people are feeling, but you can't know why. Okay, you can approximate contextually, basically, kind of what somebody's feeling, but you can't know why, and you can't be certain, because everybody has these combination locks of emotions, right? They have these things that create a whole separate experience within them that is for them as opposed to somebody else. And so let's say you think somebody is frustrated or angry. They have one that's supposed to be anger, right? Well, let's say you see this thing that looks like anger, but in this person, it's frustration, because guess what? They don't have all those other things that lead up to anger in that little context. So it's very minute, the information that you can get by using facial recognition or facial stuff and eye accessing cues. It's minute. And I'm just saying, it's I've studied this stuff. It's very small, the amount of information that you can get from it. You can get certain stuff, but you have to know what you can't get, which is certainty, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, there's no such thing. And like I said, if you've ever taken a lie detector test or again any of that other stuff, like it's all bullshit to me. It's all the fucking voodoo box, right? And it's all like this manipulation game, this like intimidation tactic. I've taken lie detector tests. So when I was a young man, I've told this story a few times before, and there's several stories because I took a few lie detector tests, and they're bogus because I wasn't lying to anybody. But these guys were suspicious of me for some fucking reason, and I'm like, what is going on here, right? And it's like, so they were like, oh, you tell us the truth, right? So it's like they unhook you from the thing, and they talk, and they stomp around, and they raise their voice, and they wave their arms, and the whole time, I'm not shitting you. The whole time you told them the truth, and they're asking you embarrassing ass shit, like, oh, have you ever had sex in public? Yeah. You know what I mean? Where? What happened? Right? Like, I'm telling, like, this is the shit that's going down. And you're like, you're feeling bad enough as it is because you're like spilling your soul. It's like fucking confession. But then on top of that, then they're like, oh, we don't believe you, right? And then they unhook you. They stomp around. They yell at you. They scream at you. Say, we know you're lying, right? This, that, the other thing. Again, I've told you guys before. And again, taking some heat on the fucking comments for some reason, because I've never taken like actual drugs. I drink some beers from now and then, and I'm like, I'm the devil because I did that, right? But I've never taken actual like illicit drugs, meaning illegal, right? I never have. Read into that whatever the fuck you want, but like people don't believe it. They don't believe it. No, I didn't. I'll tell you why. I'll go. Hold on. I didn't get a government clearance job. I was just trying to be a cop. But so point being is that real quick, this is a long story short, is that I was telling the truth. I had nothing to hide. I still have nothing to hide. So it's one of those ones where they hook you up to the thing, right? And if you're clean all the way through, they won't accept that, right? Until they think they have something on you. And so I was clean all the way through, but they peeled all the shit off and screamed at me and yelled at me and told me this and told me that, and then hooked me back up and said, no, we're going to ask you these questions again, right? So what do you think happens to like your mental state, to like your heart rate, to like the shit's more agitated, right? Because dude's screaming at you and waving his arms and telling you you're lying, and you're not. If you're not lying, you're super mad, right? Because you're like, fuck you, I'm not lying. You know what I mean? So like you get mad. So, of course, you're mad. They hook you up the second time and then ask you the same questions again. Your shit's all over the place because, like, your emotions are just frayed. Again, back to emotional manipulation, right? You can't tell. It's all fucking pseudoscience, and exactly like you're saying. I just wanted to interject that story because it's important to this. Like, you can't. Yeah. Like truth and being deceptive are very complex notions because, like you said, like, maybe you withhold information because it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? And you say, yes, I had sex in public, right? And that's it. And they're like asking you to elaborate. And I said, I did, I have. And I said, I'm not going to elaborate, right? I don't want, like, I don't think those details are pertinent to the job, right? And I was just trying to be a cop, by the way. This wasn't like a government job. I was like young 20s, and they ask you ridiculous shit. Like, have you fucked a chicken? You know what I mean? They ask you stuff like this to like literally just throw you off of like your base reality, so that you're right. So basically they want to subject you to a bunch of stress and see if you're able to kind of hold your cool in the basis of that. It's if that's not pseudoscience, I don't know what is. I'm not even kidding. No, that's true. I'm not making any of that up.
That is crazy. I mean, there are some good and some bad lie detector people who will just ask the questions, try not to use targeting questions, like stress-inducing questions, except in the beginning when they need to adjust the thing. There are some good ones out there, but since I guess you were doing the, trying to be an officer, they probably, I would assume, I guess, just wanted to screw up your certainty, the feeling of certainty that you had, and see how. I mean, it sounds military to me. It sounds like some shit that the military would do, and I hate to say that, but it's like that sounds like some definite manipulation there. And did they not want you to get in? Did they? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, most of the time, you still are not going to have a purely accurate lie detector because you don't know what these people are going through in their minds as you're doing the test. You have no idea. And what if they have some PTSD going on, and this is triggering some of that? What if they, have issues related to certain questions that you're asking that are completely unrelated to what you're trying to find out? What if? It's like it's crazy to think that they would assume that they might actually get an accurate result in those situations, and maybe sometimes, yes, but typically you're not going to know. You're just not going to know for sure.
You know what the funny part
is? That's why it's not allowed, by the way, in the court systems, even though they still use it in police. Yeah, exactly.
It is pseudo fucking science. That's why. For the record, too, by the way, I was almost hired by several departments in the San Francisco Bay Area, and for whatever reason, like I think the first lie detector test I had was it traumatized me. Because they did that, like they turned it into a big fucking thing, and so like it literally just turned. And I'm telling you, like literally, like if you're a square kid, and I was a square kid, I'm still a square old dude now, like middle-aged dude or whatever. but like my mom, so my father, cop, 30 years retired. My grandfather, cop, 30 years retired. And I knew all along, right? I couldn't get away with shit because if I did, they'd hear it, right? Like they'd hear it. So like I was just good in the fact that I didn't want double ass whoopings, and I was a good kid, right? So like, you know what I mean? So even if you thought you could get away with something, you couldn't, because it would get, like for instance, people that don't have their father as a police officer could. You have something happen and maybe get arrested or whatever, or driven home or for some shenanigans. I couldn't. If I did that, my dad would find out, right? So that's the point. So I was like, whatever. I didn't have kind of that devil's streak in me, as you might call it anyway, like my sister did, by the way. But so just saying. But right. So like I kind of didn't have that like mean streak in me. We can all be mean, but anyway, but his point being, like, I just didn't have anything to hide. I still, again, like, people don't believe me, I never smoked marijuana. I never have. Right? Like, but to me, that's not that big a deal. To other people, they like demonize me for it. Like it's so fucking dumb to even like, but still, right? They ask you that on a lie detector test, you say no. And they're like, even back then, because I'm old, but back then they were like, no, right? No, you did it, right? I'm like, no, what do you, like, no. Back then, I hadn't even had alcohol. The first drink of beer I ever had was when I was 30 years old. Right? I was just teetotaler, clean.
Wow.
Clean. And so people, but they didn't, like, right? So, and this is what I mean. So it doesn't, just like you're describing, it doesn't sort of quantify who people are. It can't, because people are complicated.
Right.
And that's the thing, right? And there's reasons I did those things and chose to make those decisions, right? Because I didn't want to be a drunk 22-year-old, like there's, or like loaded all the time. Like I just didn't. Cause I knew people like that, and I had family members that were like that, and I was like, God, I just not know, right? And so it's complicated. So you can't like take a binary like, oh, this person's lying or they're not lying based on the thing, and then based on like a demographic of the. I mean, this was I guess I can say it now. Like one of them was the first one that really fucked me up my brain was Oakland PD, Oakland, California. I actually applied to be an officer there, and I passed all the shit and got all the way down to the lie detector test. And that motherfucker, whoever that guy was, he put into my file whatever the fuck he put, whatever he thought was wrong about me, and it followed me forever. So I was never a cop. And the crazy part about that is, I feel kind of blessed that I wasn't. I kind of feel like good. I'm glad, right? Like they lost out, and thank God I may have gotten shot when I was 25 or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, fine. I'm fine with it now. But, but then you took it super personal because people didn't believe you. People just don't believe you. They don't believe your story. They think that you're a demographic or or whatever the fuck they think you are. They don't think you're like an individual with like your own choices and your own decisions. And your own decisions, by the way, could be anomalies or outliers. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And in a lot of cases they are, because normal is not precise. and that's just a fact. It's not, every single human being is different in different ways, and you don't know if they're different in the way that you're trying to analyze or not. And we're different because we have different experiences and because we were born with different personalities. Right? And so it's, you just can't synthesize this stuff like they're trying to do. And you can, you might be able to take a little bit of that information and try to fit everybody into one box, but they've been trying to fit us all into one box for eons anyway, right? And it just, it's not working. It's working a little bit, but then, you have the people who want to know, the people who are who are asking questions, and the people who are starting to understand some stuff. And so, yeah, you definitely can't rely on that box, on that synthesis, on that micro analysis of a minimum amount of facial recognition stuff and eye accessing or whatever. Just, you can't rely on that minimum amount of stuff to absolutely know anything. You just can't. There's too much to us. Way too much to us than that.
It's complicated. And it's complicated.
It is. It is. And it's wonderful that it's complicated, because you know what? It's it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it easy. And I just want to say, I think you're absolutely right. I think it was actually a blessing for you to not get into the force, because even though it probably would have been very awesome for a while, who knows, you might not be with us now. So I think some things happen for a reason. That might have been it.
Or again, yeah, I agree. I agree. I count my blessings every day for everything, right? For everything.
Yeah.
And so the thing is too, like you said, what if I did, and what if I turned into a bad cop, or because at the time, by the way, there was a bunch of like really dirty cop shit going on in Oakland. There probably is, but I mean, it's like you know what I mean. Like you kind of survive particular ways, and you make decisions, especially when you're young. Maybe decisions you might not want to make. So who knows, right? Like maybe again, the same river walking into the same person, twice never happens, right? And so maybe at that time I was susceptible, and maybe I would have turned into a dirty cop. Like who knows, right? Like I've always tried my best to be a good person, period, no matter what. And like everybody, we have our failings, right? But still, I think kind of given that sort of power, that sort of right at a young age like that. I was a young 20s, like 22 or something. It was a long ass time ago, but it changes you. It changes your brain. It changes the way you think about things. It changes the way you think about people. It changes it. But again, also, by the way, I've known a ton of cops, because of course my whole family's been cops. Like I said, my father, my grandfather, and I've known the police department. I played on their softball team. Like they all knew me. I knew them, that type of thing. Like it was that. And so I'll tell you, and this is why I'll defend cops in general terms, because you can't malign cops in general terms, because cops are people. And there are good cops and there are bad cops. Just like you can't malign, let's say, Hispanics, or right, whatever you pick whatever you want to do and be as bigoted as you want to be. There are good people and there are bad people. Period. There are very, very good cops out there. There are very good cops that you guys are. We collectively are blessed. They're out there, but there are also some son of a bitches that shouldn't be out there at all. And that's just the way the world works, isn't it? That's just the way the world works.
Absolutely. And in reminding me that it was Oakland, do you think there might have been a possibility that they knew you were a good guy?
No,
and didn't want that to, and they didn't want that.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of theories over the years because I do know a lot of cops that talk to them about the process and some of the theories I got was they don't like individual thinkers. They don't like people that kind of challenge them when they say they're lying. You're supposed to submit. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, and I didn't. I got mad, super mad, and I don't know about you. It's less of a problem now. But when I was young, if you seriously pissed me off, I was like a bull, right? I would see red, my whole fucking, I would have to have 24 hours to just cool the fuck down. You know what I mean? So it's like if people call you a liar and you're not lying, that was one of the things, I would go red, and it would literally I without knowing what my heart rate and all the rest of that stuff looked like on their meters and whatever else, right? I knew everything was elevated. So, right? Like I was pissed. And so it was one of those, right? And so much so actually they called me back a second time to do another one, right? I mean, because they probably knew they had agitated the fuck out of me, and it was like, but point being, so not about me again. Like I said, my personal experience with lie detectors and that whole bit is this bullshit. It's a fucking voodoo box of intimidation, and they want to tell you what is true about you without actually even knowing what's true about you. And that's why I'm like, no, we're like, oh, trust the science, right? Except the courts won't. Why won't the courts? And the courts are corrupt as fuck, by the way, too. They won't even trust that shit. I mean, yeah, just saying, right? Like, here we are.
It is crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
Oh, I did want to mention one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you were doing emoticons earlier, or emojis?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We are.
You were talking about that?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Did anybody bring up the connection between emojis and hieroglyphs?
No, actually, no. That's a fantastic point. Go right ahead. Love to hear it.
Well, I mean, just if you think about it, we are now sort of communicating in hieroglyphs when we do emojis. They used to do hieroglyphs are just images for that have a meaning, right? I've been looking into some Egyptian hieroglyphic writings and stuff just recently, and they all make sense to what they're talking about. A boat looks like a boat, and if you have nothing, it's two arms sticking out from side to side, and that's very similar to an emoji. And I kind of wonder why we don't have that hieroglyph as a emoji, because it works really well. Wait. No, I mean, it's really interesting.
No, super interesting. So like I said earlier, right after Jennifer called, try and put out an entire thought just smashing emojis into your phone, and that's kind of what hieroglyphics were, weren't they? It was kind of like that.
Exactly. We don't have enough good emojis, though. I mean, we could, but I mean, I think if we developed the skill of emoji communication and had a really defined language for that emoji communication, there are probably enough emojis to get by, right? To have a conversation if we really stuck with the definitions. They had in hieroglyphs, they have them numbered, so they have A small a1, A B1. So let's say AB1 is the same, only slightly different to A1. And so it means something slightly different. So you have these subtle differences in the words, and literally each one represented a word, right? Or a phrase, but then you can translate it into just words, and many of them actually represented 3 or 4 different words depending on the context with which they were being used. And so, but yeah, I mean, we could literally get an emoji language started again, and maybe that's how, maybe, I'm drinking the maybe juice. It's yerba mate tea. I picked up some yerba mate tea.
Isn't that worse than smoking 10 packs of cigarettes? Didn't we talk about this?
I've been doing some research. I feel somewhat comfortable.
All right. I'm
my favorite.
Hey, we all make our own decisions. It's all fun.
Well, I'm trying to quit smoking, so I have to supplement with something, right?
Right.
I wasn't going to say that. Anyway,
fair enough.
Okay.
No. You've officially quit as of this moment because I said so.
Oh, shut up! No, not yet. Almost. Okay, I'm getting there now.
I can't do it.
It's going to be another 2 months at least. I'm doing it slow. Anyway, so what if? How about this? What if we had, or the Egyptians or the Sumerians or some culture before the Sumerians and the Egyptians potentially had cell phone technology?
Oh shit.
And they like communicated in emojis. And then that's where hieroglyphs came from. Right? It's all a big circle, maybe.
It is. No, it sounds like it's a big circle. Like I said, I'm going to try and at some point I got some surprises for the show. I don't know if I could do too much of that because maybe I'll do it on like a non-radio show, but like we'll do something like that where we'll like either some emoji communications.
Wait. Before you say anything, I have not quite synthesized my idea yet, but I'm going to give you the highlights.
Right.
For something that I think would be really cool, and it is somewhat related to Egypt. So,
okay, fair enough.
In part,
yeah, you're welcome. Whatever. You're welcome. Whatever. Let's do the thing. Let's figure it out. You're welcome to be here. You know, and there you go. That goes for everybody else too. You guys know. Look. If you're, I hate to use the term because it like paints you as like an asshole, but you know, it's like a non-Mason term too. If you're on the level, meaning like if you're just chill, like you can come here and talk about things. Look, I talk about things I don't believe, right? But the point of me being here is not to like tell you what I believe, or else I'd be like just some asshole, right? And I try my best not to be an asshole. Let's talk about things I don't believe. Let's talk about things that other people believe. Let's talk about why these things are maybes. And let's consider all of them. You know, I think it's an important aspect, and that's it's super easy to just be like a pound the desk and shout what you believe, asshole. But it is right. It's easy. Like it's judgment. It's criticism. It's all that. Like we could all do that. You could. I'm sure you could do that, APOC, right? Like you got your beliefs that you like. They're like locked into you.
Actually, it would be very, very hard for me to do that because that's something that I've always disliked and I've always sort of run in the other direction of, and I don't appreciate it, and I don't like being around it that much. And so, I can kind of try to be in an environment where that's going on, but it would be really difficult for me to do that. I would be playing a completely different part. I do not like, I think anger and pounding your fists and just da-da-da-da, I think that's a form of manipulation.
Yes, it is.
And I don't like manipulation, and sarcasm is a form of anger, and anger is a form of manipulation. And so sarcasm and manipulation and anger are just things. That's why I did sales in the way that I did, because I believed literally that it was wrong, and I didn't want to treat people that way, So no, it would be really hard for me to do that. Sorry.
That's fine. I'm going to disagree with you and tell you that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to tell you you're wrong, APOC. You're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Whatever.
Algo adds in the chat like Crow777 says, belief is the enemy of knowing.
There you go.
It's a good one. It's a good one. By the way, Crow777 is on Rockfin, by the way. So if you sub up to Troubled Minds on Rockfin, you get all of Crow777's stuff, all the paywall stuff. Of course, since I plugged him, you should probably do it on Troubled Minds and not, right? But Crow777, but you still get, or if you sub up to him, you get all the Troubled Minds stuff as well, which, by the way, is getting locked down, all the extra shit. So if you've noticed, so it's coming. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know how to change the world, APOC, but we'll do it 1 minute at a time, one word at a time, and try and remain present and understand what we can understand. How about that? Is that fair enough?
Amen. Absolutely.
Amen.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. Anything else you got for us tonight?
No, I think that's all I could think of.
Perfect. That's fine. That's good. That's fantastic. That's exactly where we need it to be. So look, this is the deal. APOC here, good friend of mine, good friend of the show's. She's got a podcast. Check it out. And I'm going to be on that podcast soon. She just doesn't know it yet. You go to links in the description. It's called her podcast called Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Tau.
Apocalypse Tau.
See what I did there?
But see, it was a play on words. It was a play on words. You
just mind fucked me. Apocalypse Tau. Check it out. Links in the description, and I will be on that podcast soon. APOC doesn't know it yet, but it's about to happen, and we're about to do that. You started putting up new episodes yet? Is it coming?
Not yet.
Okay. When you are, let me know.
It's going to be at least after next week because I'm going out to the property and hopefully finishing up and getting out there real soon. Once I get out there, then I'm going to do a podcast. So yeah.
Perfect. Whenever you're ready, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. You know where to find me. You know where to find me. You're the best. Right on. Let's do it. There you go. Jennifer says it's like the old song, you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And that's, I'm not sure I like that particular term personally, because I think it's, that's attributed to Malcolm X. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, I think is what he said. And so I think in my terms, when I hear that sentiment, I think it's like us or them, right? I don't like it. I don't like it. And again, right, here we go. Here's where the people are like, I knew it, he's a racist. Malcolm X said it and he hates it. No, I don't like binary things like that. And no offense to you, Jennifer, of course, you're brilliant and all that good stuff. To me personally, that sentiment, somebody told me that when I was 20, and I was like, wait, so if I don't believe what you believe, then I'm with you or against you? Like, I'm confused. There's no nuance. Like, and again, right, like it takes you 20 years sometimes to figure all this shit out or to like come up with your own concepts. But yeah, good stuff. Yeah, amazing. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's bounce it. I think phones are clear. I think Discord's clear. This is one of those downer shows where everybody's like, I'm not into it. I'm not really into it. And that's fine. That's all right. That's cool. It's all good.
I had fun.
Yeah. Hey, look. It's important to like plant your feet both on the real world and not like realize what's happening to your left and your right, and not the up and the down, right? It's important. You got to look both. You got to look all directions, not just not up and down's the most fun, but left and right. Left and right for sure, right? You got to look sometimes and see what the hell's going on with that. But okay, it's okay. This is what I'm saying. Like, I've been at this for far too long to be like, oh, the engagement's low. I'm gonna go cry into my beer. No, we'll come back tomorrow, punching harder, talking about other shit. It's all good. It's all good. These are the ones that kind of fill in. They're the glue that makes Troubled Minds what it is. That we're not afraid to talk about shit that isn't like instant clickbait constantly. And so there you go. There it is. Let's roll it. Anything else, APOC? I'm about to smash this thing and get the hell out of here because I gotta submit my taxes before midnight Pacific time.
Oh man,
yes.
No.
You sure you don't want to punch me in the face? No, it's all ready to go. I just gotta like smash, and pay. I'm not going to give them any money any sooner than it has to be given. So there you go. All right, and
there you go.
Yeah, and so there it is. All right. If you want to punch me in the face and tell me I'm stupid, I'd love to hear it.
You're good. You're good.
Right.
I'm totally in that category. If I were doing the taxes, then I would be probably exactly where you are right now.
I'm just
saying.
I'm super mad. You bust your nuts all year, and they're like, "Thanks a lot for helping us out. we'll go spend your money poorly, and we'll see you next year." Fuck.
Next year, I will be doing the taxes, so I will probably be exactly where you are.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, I'll put it on the calendar to commiserate on tax day again. I think that's part of it too. Is where we, it is the day that it is the day that if you're happy today, well, ascended masters don't pay taxes, I guess. 40s is calling for an APOC outro.
Let's see.
I got one for you.
I don't have anything right off the bat, but let's see if I can think of something.
All right.
Can I do it before the music, or are you going to do the bass?
Go ahead. I'll buy you a minute or two if you want to go find something real quick. What's up? Okay. Great call, APOC, says Jennifer. 40 says, yep, awesome call. Exactly. APOC's fantastic, 100%. What's up, Jennifer says, it doesn't have to be you or them. It's about being you. And that takes strength. Amen. Amen to that. 100%. Yeah, there you go. It's about perspective, right? Let's see. And Jennifer says, and if people can't leave each other alone, it's a great show of weakness. Be you, your own person. And those who can deal with that are strong like you. You can disagree and still be alive. Yeah, amen, right? Amen. There you go. There you go. There you go. What's up, Jennifer? If you need someone's approval, then you're not living. That's what it means. Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. Here's one real quick before I was going to send this to APOC, but I'm going to say this as the outro, and this kind of fits, right? This is from Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, he said this: "Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it." And there we go. I saw that and thought that was fitting. I thought it was fitting. Hey, brass balls in the back pocket. You may as well, right? Like, why? Like, why are we going to be afraid? Like, we're only here for so much time. Like, fucking, like, scream at the moon. Like, get out there and scream at the moon. I was not built for this. I was not built for this. I was not. Right? But I thought that time's running out. It's, philosopher kings of old.
When we would have a moonlit night that was very, very bright, I used to go out to my favorite deserted road, and many times there would be fog out there. So I'd park in my favorite spot, shine the headlights on the road where the fog was, and I'd go out and I'd dance in the moonlight with the fog. That's like the best feeling ever.
I love it. Absolutely. There is magic out there that needs to be found, and I think it's our job to find it. You can quote that to Michael Strange. It's our job to find it. All right, let's roll it. Was that the quote? You got something else? Because I can smash the music. Was that it?
No, I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm still.
That's fine. All right, so a couple quick things before we go. We got what's up? Crab Apple says buenos noches. Buenos nachos is what I read. What's up, Ronald? 416 Cube says they definitely prey on our weakness in terms of the left-right paradigm talking point shit. Agreed. That's exactly what this is, right? Like, they literally are using that against us. But again, like, think about it in terms of like people and political parties and the media using emotional manipulation. Once you add the next layer of, like, again, we've talked about this in the past, but algorithmic control of every data point of your life, and then trying to use that against you to maximize the amount of money you spend to them, right? It's not to improve or enhance your life in any way. It's about maximizing the amount of money you spend to the powers that be, right? Like that. There's a huge fucking difference there. It's a gigantic difference, right? So one thing, like Jennifer said, early in the chat, and when she called in, it's not good at sales. I was like, hey, you don't want this, so why am I going to try and sell this to you? It doesn't work for you. It won't work for you. And that's an honest salesperson, honestly. But, right, it's like if you're on commission, well, the dishonest salesperson will be like, no, you need this. Here's why you need this, right? And continue to chase you down. It's that's what I mean, right? It's the world is a sick place. Just be careful. And Jennifer's got it right as well, which is super hilarious. Average intelligence is a beautiful thing. Roll it, go with it, chase it. Don't give up on it. Keep learning as much as you can. Like I said, I'm not some super genius, right? I'm probably fancying myself average intelligence as well. And it's like, hey, just learn from yesterday where you failed, and tomorrow you won't fail the same way, right? And literally in pure time and pressure, again, like I always say, it's it starts to work itself out, doesn't it? I think it kind of does. Yeah.
And I've got two I can read that are decent. They're decent.
All right, I'm gonna click the thing, and you got the thing, and here's the music. All right, we're doing an outro. Okay. If you here we go. We're gonna smash the thing here with APOC of Apocalypse Tau podcast. See that? I almost said Apocalypse Now because it is not Apocalypse Now, and that's how clever she is. And because I agree, it's not the end. If we don't want it to be the end, we have a say in this. And let's roll it. There's the music. There you go. Wait for the bass. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cryptids, robots, androids, replicants, and all things in between, I present to you my good friend, APOC.
The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela.
Nice. Love it.
Life. There's another.
Go right ahead.
Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. Charles Swindoll.
And that's the truth. 100%. Look, another one, I can't remember who said it, but like, the only thing you control in the morning is your attitude. So do the thing. You're the best. Please give APOC a follow. I will be on her podcast soon. I'm forcing myself in there whether she likes it or not. Give Jennifer a follow as well. What's up, Jennifer? In the description, I will be on her show soon as well, whether she likes it or not. I'm going to bully myself in because, well, hey, you guys have been so kind to me. I feel like we need to be kind to each other. So when you're ready, you let me know. You guys know where to find me. And there we go. Let's get the fuck out of here. It goes like this. If you want to help the show, there are a few ways. You can sub up on Twitch. Rockfin, of course. Again, if you sub up to Rockfin, links in the description down below. You get Crow 777's premium shit too. Hey, and Michael Tracy, Abby Martin, the Empire Files. You get Sam Tripoli. There's so much cool stuff on Rockfin. I don't know what you guys are waiting for. The other one is, of course, Patreon Direct. You get some inside stuff. The actual what do you call them? The bonus shows on demand, right? If you catch them live, you get them live. If you show up halfway through, you can't go watch it back because, well, it's a paywall at that point. Again, it's a way to support the show. It's a way to give people that do support the show extra content and information, and just chill. Let's just be together and chill. It doesn't have to be like they tell us it is. I reject it entirely. I reject politics entirely. No. No. Everything is not political, and that's the way this goes. All right, let's go. Let's roll it. Let's get the fuck out. Anything else, APOC? You got like 30 seconds if you got it.
Ow.
There it is. That's exactly what 40s wanted. All right. So let's get the hell out. Here's the thing. Bad news is we're done. Good news is, God willing, we got tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a fantastic one. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be different. Different is not bad. Different is good. If you look at the herd out there, what a shit show. Please be different. Please be you. Please be kind and true. And with that said, it goes like this. Be sure. Be strong. Be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Thanks, APOC.
Thank you.
You too, James. Everybody follow James Salcedo Paranormal, of course. Whenever, bro, let me know. You know where to find me. You know the best days for me. All right, here we go. Clicking it. We're done. Thanks again.